look a little tired,
Got
man.
a bodyguard with you, huh?
Yeah.
Good evening, and good evening, and welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for April 14th, 2014. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, lots of visitors tonight.
Must have done something wrong,
Every once in a while we might do something right. I'm going to be optimistic.
Two chiefs and a superintendent of schools. We're in trouble somewhere.
Okay, so actually,
Mr. Duke is here.
right, I just wanted to, I'm going to let Mike come here for some of these new business pieces because I know he's had conversations with people and I want to have him in the loop. Let's just see. Well, you know, why don't we start with the, if it's okay, with the GA request for a one-day liquor license at Camp Dennison. You guys want to come forward? It should be a quick no. I'm just kidding.
We'll see. Tough board tonight.
I'll let you know what type of liquor I want you to have on.
All right. Since we'll all be.
Okay, Mike, we're just doing the GA request for the liquor license for one day at Camp Dennison, just because we were gonna wait for you for the other stuff.
All right.
So guys, what do you want to do? And then Janet will check with you to see if we've got the required stuff.
Okay, I'm Jeff Moore, for those of you who don't know me. It's Joe Mullis. We're representing Georgetown Lacrosse, GAA Lacrosse, and we're doing playing a fundraiser, beer tasting fundraiser at Camp Dennison on May 17th. And so we're here seeking a one-day liquor license approval for vendors to come in and serve beer samples.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to explain a little bit about, Joe's been working
Yeah, so anybody
tirelessly on the
that's
efforts.
been to a beer tasting, this is pretty much the way that these microbreweries do their marketing. So they come in with, you know, products that they're trying to get into the market. So some of the ones we have lined up are Sam Adams, Long Trail, possibly the brewery in Newburyport, Otter Creek, and some pretty well-known microbreweries, and what they do is they bring a selection of their products, and people generally get I think it's generally a 3-ounce tasting cup, and you can walk around and they'll give you a tasting of the beverages that they have to sample.
Okay.
In addition to that, we'll be offering, there'll be people serving chili, we'll have hot dogs, we have, John Feeks is gonna play. We have a campfire going over there.
Yep.
Joe, you
Right.
volunteered me
Raffles.
for my salsa,
I
right?
did.
And just again, the money benefits.
Georgetown Lacrosse.
Georgetown
GAA
Lacrosse.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, our, the fee that we charge is substantially less than the cost to operate the lacrosse program. So we do several different fundraisers a year, and this is a new one that we're gonna try and see how it works, to try and subsidize, you know, our program and keep our tuition as low as possible, so. In your packets, I think you got an application from us, permit to use Camp Dennison. With signatures, there should also be an application for permission to serve, license to sell and serve alcoholic beverages. There is a quotation for insurance policy. We're gonna do liability insurance, $1 million, $2 million per event, with liquor liability coverage included. That is not purchased yet. It was gonna be pending based on your approval. And we're planning to name the town of Georgetown as an additional insured on that, or whatever you guys determine is necessary there.
Okay,
So,
great. So, Janet, do we have, so all the paperwork is in order, Janet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, they got approvals from the police chief already, and approval from the Conservation Commission to hold the event there.
Great.
We will have a police
And Camp
detail.
Dennison Committee.
We will have a police detail as well, 4-hour detail. It's gonna be 6 to 10, so we'll have a 4-hour detail there the entire time.
Great. And Mike, any known issues?
You have a Yingling?
I don't know, we have any England?
No, actually, the person who's coordinate this is a local guy, and unfortunately, Yingling is one of their chief competitors, so he was very hard to
It's not
get.
really a microbrew, is it?
He was very hard to get a hold of around the end of the year, because they were basically dealing with Yingling coming into the market.
Well, it's a pretty
They will
big,
not be there.
pretty big grounds. I'm sure you can get some in there. Okay, I'll open to the board. Any questions from the board?
Just a couple quick questions. So you're gonna have wine there as well? Are you doing, serving wine and alcohol by the glass, as well? And, or just the beer tasting?
No, our plan is just for the tasting.
Just the beer tasting?
Okay, because wine is checked off on the application.
Yeah, it was. Is that even?
Yeah, and that's not even definite. It was something that someone suggested, like, what about for people that don't drink beer? Could we have something there? So we pursued maybe having someone doing a wine tasting component of it, but that's not finalized yet. But if we do, it'll be in line with what the beer vendors are doing.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve a one-day liquor license for GAA to be held at Camp Dennison, May 17, 2014, for the hours of 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Motion and a second. Any other comments or questions, Gary?
Yeah, on your, you've got your estimated attendance down at 150 to 175, but your estimate for your insurance is a maximum of 150. So
Correct.
is that why,
Yeah, we're gonna sell tickets to this event in advance, and so
Okay.
if we exceed the 150, that'd be great if we did. We can bump that insurance up accordingly to the number of
So
tickets
that's
that
the
we
plan.
actually sell at the event. So that's one of the reasons we're holding off on the insurance as well. And Stacy indicated we can do it up to, I think it's the week before the event, we can actually bind the policy, but we'll do it as soon as we get a better handle on how many tickets we're gonna sell.
thank you.
Point.
Great. So any other comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, great.
Got it.
While we
Very
have you
much,
here, say the date and the event and the time and the location really loud again.
May 17th, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Camp Dennison.
That's good. It's May 17th, a
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yep.
Perfect.
Where can you get tickets?
They'll be coming out soon. Or maybe
Give me your
tomorrow.
email address.
Yeah.
Well, because I know in the past, the libraries used the Georgetown Liquors to buy a ticket, so you may want to talk to them about.
Yeah, we're gonna try just distributing, 10 to 15 to all the lacrosse guys, and then kind of
Yeah.
shotgun approach it, and we'll get to you.
Dave, come see me.
Yeah, all right.
That's right.
Great.
You'll get on
Bye,
your next
guys.
agenda at the door.
Thank you,
I'll
guys.
see you
Hey,
on-
thanks, guys.
Sounds like a
Appreciate
great
it.
event.
All right, we'll see how it goes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's first on the, I just wanted you to be here because you had talked with him. Okay, so next up is Georgetown Fishing Game Noise Concerns and Brian Duke. Brian?
Good evening.
Hi, Brian, welcome. So Mike, why don't just do, I think we've seen emails, but just do a little context for everybody as to why Brian's here.
Sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brian. But Brian sent me an email from the website asking about the sounds coming from the gun club, the gunshots. He lives across the pond from them, and like I said, he just moved in about 6 months ago. And much to his surprise, there was gunfire going off, and it was pretty loud. And he we traded emails. He asked if this issue had ever risen before, and if we have any noise ordinances. And to my knowledge, not in my time had the issue been brought up. But I know we don't have noise ordinances, mostly because they're next to impossible to enforce. I did do some history with the chief of police, and he said they've attempted over there to put mounds and shaded and trees, shrubbery. The deer ate the shrubbery, so that didn't work out too well. This is where we are. Brian wants to know if there's anything that can be done.
Yeah. Yeah, I can add to that too.
Yeah,
I mean,
please.
I'm in no way, shape, or form looking for the gun club or any issues against the gun club. In fact, I would join if I if I didn't have this concern happening at this point. Really, it's just, I don't know, if there's like a sound engineer or something like that, potentially have come in if it hasn't been done before, maybe see if there's anything, if the gun club was up to doing it too. It's obviously their space as well, so I would never encroach upon that. I just wanted to ask the question, really. It was more about information and if there is anything that can be done. I mean, if there isn't, there isn't. That's the way it is, but if there is, that'd be great too.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for coming forward. I'm not sure what we can do at this point,
Right.
but, so is the gun club on private property, just to clarify?
As far as I'm aware, yeah.
Right, and is there any town property surrounding them, or are they embedded within, kind of boxed in with the private property,
I couldn't answer that.
It's
I
got
don't know.
state property,
state property?
and then private residences. State property sort of along the border of the pond, and then behind it, where the rail trail is state.
I'll open up for suggestions, questions.
Yeah, what I would suggest is maybe we send some type of communication off to their board at the fishing game, just to, let them know that, if there's anything they can do, if there's anything in their long-term plans or capital planning to, for noise mitigation, just as an inquiry. To let them know that, and I'm up by, Phil and I live in the same neighborhood, and it's loud where I am. And I can't believe how loud it is. But, for us to hear it that far away, and it's traveling right across the pond.
That's exactly
I'm not
what it
against
is.
it.
It's the pond.
I have an application to join soon. So, but still, I think that, maybe we should just at least ask their board that if there's any plans or continued plans for noise mitigation at this point. But, so I feel for you, but.
Yeah, I appreciate that, yeah.
Yeah.
Gary?
Yesterday I talked with the president of the gun fishing game, and they would have been here tonight, except tonight's their annual meeting. And you might actually be welcome to go over there. They
Okay.
were very concerned about being good neighbors. They would be more than willing to come here to a meeting.
I'd love to, absolutely.
And they do realize that it's a problem, and they would be just, willing to be good neighbors in any way that could help address it.
That's excellent.
They
I mean,
want to make an effort.
I think the reason I wanted to come to the town first was I didn't want it to come across to them like I was attacking them if I reached out to them or anything, and I'm not attacking them. I just wanted to have the conversation, and if they were willing to have the conversation. So hearing that's wonderful news.
But I mean,
Jim, I could add, I've attended several of their monthly meetings, as they allow the police department to shoot down there, so we attend meetings to assist them with various issues, and as Mr. Fowler said, noise is always on the top of their list, and they do want to be good neighbors. They've actually put up some new barriers and some new shielding on some of the ranges. The unfortunate part is, in the dead of winter, when all the foliage is gone, you can still hear it, but it's obviously much louder across the pond. And I think our friend, who do you live on, Gloria Road?
Old Jacobs.
Old Jacobs Road. So it echoes across that pond, and noise travels until it finds a place to stop, and it's probably on the other side of the pond. And they did do some number of plantings last year on those barriers across the pond side, and they did announce at the meeting they put all of these barriers in, and it was the deer that elected to eat all of it, because I guess it's their favorite food. It's a great shield of noise, but it's also, I guess,
The deer
delicious.
must not have realized they were guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
maybe they were bringing Coke to come in.
Actually,
I can tell you they're not eating enough over there.
So they are a very good group over there, and they're they work very well with the police department and the neighbors. There's actually neighbors, when you ask about the area, there are houses within approximately 50 feet of the archery range to the right, and then there is common access for a path along the pond too, so it is a very tight-knit area, but you should attend a meeting, because they are looking for people for advice, they're looking for people to help and things like that, so I think that's a good start.
that's excellent. I'll probably join if I attend a meeting, so.
Yeah. No, they're a good open-minded crew,
That's great to hear. That's
Yep.
great
Do
to
they
hear.
have set, what are their set hours for being open? Do you know, Chief, or anyone?
I'd have to look at the binder, but they are very strict.
It's 9 to dusk,
on-
is it?
on
9 to
the- on
dusk
the start.
I think it's
Yeah,
9 to
Wednesday
dusk.
nights is
Or-
ski.
The Wednesday night is
trap
ski
shoot.
was trap, so
Gentlemen in the back, yeah.
it's the only night.
Sundays are 1 to dusk.
one that does.
Okay.
And holidays.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think David had suggested, you know, we just kind of send some correspondence to them, maybe invite them to come in and talk about it. I think that's, you know, reasonable. It sounds like
Wonderful.
they're willing to continue to work hard to be a good neighbor, and see, we'll have a conversation and see if there's any other options where maybe the town could help.
I think that's all I can ask for, so thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Sure. You got it. Gary, do you have another?
Just to say, I don't know, Brian, where you moved here from, but I mean, you did sort of move out into the country.
I did, yes.
You know, I live down the other end of the town. I probably occasionally can hear the gun club, but I live near the Crane Pond Wildlife Management Area, and I don't believe there's a shooting range out there, but I think it happens out there. I can see that, I mean, and I hear it a lot, but sometimes you tend to get used to these things.
Yeah, and I have over the time. I have. Yeah, that's like I said. I mean, I didn't want to stop anything. I just wanted to see if there's a conversation. If there's anything to be done. If I can lend some, something to the conversation, I will.
Great. Well, first of all, thank you for coming forward
Sure.
in a very professional way that you came forward and
Thanks.
neighborly way. So we definitely appreciate that. We'll see if we can get a dialogue going and see if there's any opportunity to help.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
good night.
You too.
I will pass that information over to the board.
Great, thank you. Okay, Mike, the next one is we had an agenda request.
The
The
requestee
applicant.
is not here.
Okay, darn.
If I may on that too.
Sure.
I did give Mr. Greenberg a call today, because his request was rather confusing. He mentioned bylaws. He seems to feel that there's some type of a bylaw out there about attendance. I asked him to try to find it and let us know, and he said he may be able to make our next meeting, that he was not able to make this one.
Okay,
So,
all right. Thank you, Gary. Okay, bond for Pembroke School.
We have a representative from our bond council
Great.
here to walk you through things and answer any questions you may have. This is Kara. Kara, your
Kara?
last name?
Adams.
Kara Adams.
Great, thank you for being here.
No problem.
Okay, so maybe you can give us a quick summary as to where we're at and what we're looking to do.
Sure. The town went out and sold some bonds with your financial advisor at public bidding. And the bonds are for your Pembroke Elementary School for the bulk of the project, I believe. For the bulk of the town share of the project, I should say. The bonds will take out some notes that you have outstanding, just under 9 million, 8 million and change, and then finance some new money construction, what we call new money construction projects. So we've sent you the closing papers ahead of time. See that you all have the draft ones that went by email. We have the originals here
Yep.
for execution.
I think they're under. They were there. Don't lose those.
So I'm pretty used to doing these issues. I know you guys kind of aren't. You don't do it every day. But this is pretty clean cut as far as I see. For signature, we have all the bonds. We have the vote for you to adopt. You can adopt it as written. You don't need to read it in if you don't want to. That basically, the vote is basically your approval of the issuance of these bonds, their particular details, the annual interest rates for each individual maturity, various details, who they're sold to, as well as the purchase price, which I can tell you what that is from off here. Your purchase price, their bid was 104.922%. That equates to $25,181,353. You did get a premium associated with that of a total of $1,289,593, and then you have to back out the underwriter's takedown or discount from that, which was 108,240. So that'll leave you roughly a little over a million in premium, which DOR, this is a Prop 2.5 exempt project, so DOR regulates that premium, less cost of issuance costs, be set aside and used annually to help offset the interest costs that are raised outside the levy every year. So your treasurer will be doing that in accordance with the calculations that DOR has said she's to use to calculate that. All right. So the bonds, the vote also authorizes the execution of a continuing disclosure agreement, which is for federal securities reasons, you're required to annually give information to public investors, and at any time there's a material event or enumerated event within the market. So within your bond issue, so any ratings changes, anything happening financially would get reported as a material event to investors. There will be an 8038G signed, which that's your treasurer's responsibility to sign that. We'll get that filed for you. And then there's a general certificate that basically just reconfirms everything that we were given as far as your town meeting approvals, your town election, that you are still in your offices, that you are who you say you are, and it just reiterates what the terms of the bonds are and who they're sold to. All right. As an aside, if you're interested, you can see how your bonds trade in the market. I don't know if you're aware, EMMA, the capital EMMA, has all kinds of securities information for all kinds of issuers, including you guys. So any of your bonds, you can actually go on EMMA's website. It's free. MSRB runs it, Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board. And you can see how your bonds are trading if you're just curious. That would be a secondary market away from the purchaser of your bonds. So someone bought your bonds and then they go and resell them. So the prices will be different, but it's interesting. I find it interesting. But if you're interested, you can see that, and anyone can see it.
Great, excellent.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, open to the board for questions.
So why isn't the interest rate consistent year to year?
Sure. So that has to go with that goes with how the underwriter thinks that they can resell the bond at a particular maturity. The later years are more or less secure depending upon what they think the market's going to do. And so the way that these things get priced, and again, these are public bids, so every bid came in different. And the lowest, I think you awarded on the lowest net interest or lowest, it could have been, it's either NIC or TIC. Can't quite remember, I don't have the OS here with me. So the bids come in kind of all over the place, but sometimes sort of similar. And so they put an interest rate on a particular maturity based on how they think they can sell it, if they think they can sell it at that rate. And they may tack on a premium or discount to you to lower it down to a rate that you're willing to sell it at, but also maintaining a rate that they think they can reoffer it at.
So they sold them in different blocks, is what you're telling me, in $1 million blocks?
Actually, these are $1,000 blocks.
Okay,
So within a particular maturity. So the way that the annual maturities are structured is the way that your treasurer and your financial advisor are worked out sort of ahead of time, and we just get it sent to us for, is this legal or not? We don't really have, as bond counsel, we're not financial advisors. We can't be financial advisors to the new rules.
So that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah,
So that makes a lot of sense.
so
Yep.
actually the annual maturities that you're seeing, the different individual amounts are what your treasurer, and perhaps maybe, I'm not really sure if you were involved with that or not, how they wanted it structured, either equal or declining principal or level debt. Yours is $1 million pretty much to the middle, and then 900,000 after that. So that would be equal or declining.
So our actual interest expense is actually lower because of the premium that we got at the beginning.
Yeah,
So it'll bring it down. It'll bring it down over the years as she applies it to the effective annual interest rate. Right, so we'll be below 4% mostly.
Yeah, it was 332 or something.
Yeah, that was your,
Was that disclosed? I didn't see it.
Yeah, it, not on this.
334 to
Yeah.
the sixth decimal point.
Right.
yep, so that was your true interest cost, and that takes into account the value of the money over time.
Right.
And your NIC was 3.4, which doesn't take into account the time value of money.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad, I think that's fantastic.
That's like, it's cheap interest.
If you were here 2 months ago, I bet it would be a half a point difference.
Well, the market's come back down a little bit, though. Yields have come down, bond yields have come down a little bit over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So we met,
Right.
yes, we did well.
Good timing.
Great time.
Hey, with all the snow we got this year, we deserve a property. Gary, go ahead.
Just looking this over, what's a little bit confusing to me, because I guess what you've got here is the amount of the bonds, but do we have a yearly payment schedule on this? Because I did not see that here in this.
Sure, there is,
So I guess
actually.
And is that the same each year, or that it gets lowered?
Sure, that information is given to your treasurer when the deal prices, and I actually printed out some just in case someone asked about numbers, so would you like me to pass?
We may have had it earlier. Did we have that earlier, Mike?
We have potentials, not actuals.
Yeah.
So I guess what was confusing to me was where these bonds, you know, it looks like we've got 25 individual notes here, and they get smaller, and so with the bond each maturing at one of each of the 25 years, I just wondered if there was a peak where the town is paying more and then that
It's
drops
upfront.
off.
It's upfront on your, it's,
Pardon
so your annual fiscal totals, it'll be highest, this, June 30th, 2015. And it decreases from there.
It
It's
decre-
decreasing.
Okay, so it does decrease
Yep.
from the first annual year.
Yep,
Okay.
it goes from
That's-
$1,900,000 down to just over 900,000.
Right, As
Okay.
you pay the principal back, the interest that accrues reduces.
And so what is the actual cost? Because, I mean, you've got a figure here of 25,181,353 and accrued interest. I
So
mean,
the total principal and interest over the life of the loan,
Yes,
if you just add up the dollar amounts, I think it's about, well, this schedule is showing 35,740,000.
okay.
But that's what the NIC and the TIC calculations were that we were talking about. The NIC takes into, the TIC takes into account the value of the money over time, whereas the NIC doesn't. So the TIC is, so you average out, it's about 3.4%, and the NIC is about the TIC is 3.34, and the NIC is 3.46, so, yeah.
Okay,
about the
Thank
same.
you.
Yep.
Can I grab a copy of that if you?
Oh,
have
sure.
one?
I didn't really print,
It's that disclosure when you sign for your mortgage that you don't want to look at. It says what you're going to pay at the end when you borrow, when you first borrow. Everybody looks at it and goes, I'm paying what? For what?
My
I only have
mortgage,
4
I knew what it was
copies.
gonna cost me.
Yeah, I
Come
know,
on
no, I
now.
know.
That's
But it's
what
that
I wanna
scary,
know
that's
now.
the scary number.
so there's just 4 copies there. I also have copies of the bids that came in if you're
If I told
interested
you
in
what
seeing
my
all the
mortgage
different
was,
bids,
I'm okay.
You gonna go one of these?
plus you're winning one.
I don't know, we got enough, it didn't.
You got enough?
Right.
Gary and I can
No,
look
no,
on.
I've been- I like
We'll look on.
copies.
Gary and I can look on together.
So the spread on your bids
lead me
between
through.
the winning bid, which was 3.34 tick, and then the highest bid was 3.44 on the tick, the TIC.
Who were some of the bidders on it?
Citigroup was the winner, Citigroup Global Markets Inc., Piper Jaffray, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Mizro Financial Incorporated, I've actually never seen that one before, JP Morgan, Robert Baird, Janney Montgomery, and Raymond James.
Where's Lehman Brothers? Oh, yeah.
Under the tombstone.
Yeah. Taking the dirt nap.
So if you look at the schedule, we're gonna pay approximately, in the first year, 1.9 million back. Is that right?
192, right?
1,920,000, then 1,880,000, then 1,850,000, 1,810,000, it'll just keep
Increases about
increasing over time.
50,000, so a year.
Right.
And I think that's before you apply any.
Right, because we
any-
got, don't forget, we got premium
Premium.
up front. So
Right.
we put out 24, whatever it was, $24 million in bonds, but actually got 25,181 back. So they're supplementing, and that's that program that she's talking about, is supplementing the interest expense over time. But you can't take it all up front and wipe out the first payment. You have to take it over the life of the loan. So you take whatever that premium was, well, there's some fees in there you can't take, but
It was
About
a
1
little over a
million,
million.
5 something or other, or was it less than that?
1 million, a little over 1 million.
Little over $1 million. So we take that $1 million, hold that in cash, but each year we take a piece of it and apply it towards interest expense. So offsets that 4 and 5% cost, which is right, 3, 4, and 5% cost depending upon. It's only 1 year at 5%. Gary and I are gonna go to our broker and see if we can buy those. 7-year bonds at 5%, where do you get those? And tax-free on your state tax return, that's even better. Nothing wrong with that. So, anyway, but, okay, great.
All right. So again, those numbers there are before the application of the premium, so that actually be a little
Right, so it actually buys that down. So if you took $1 million, what's the length of the loan again?
25.
20 years.
25, so if you took it, $1 million divided by 25 and apply that each year, it'll offset that $1,920,000. As long as we're in compliance going forward, right? Because is there a chance we could ever lose that if we fall out of compliance?
The million?
Yeah, what if we paid off early? Just hypothetically, we hit
Yeah.
the lottery.
I've actually only seen bonds taken out early with a refunding or with MSBA money for old program loans where MSBA was not giving you reimbursements timely with the project. They were paying part of the principal and interest
Yep.
as it came due, so you'd issue your full authorization. In some instances, they offered some communities asked and they agreed to get a lump sum payment, and then they've redeemed bonds accordingly, and so they would also sometimes issue refunding bonds at the same time or sometimes later. In those cases, in a refunding bond situation, in instances other than a school issue that we're running up against now, I'm actually clearing one now for another community, we require them to apply any extra funds that are on account of the bonds that actually are being funding the particular maturities to be applied to the escrow to redeem, so they issue less bonds to take those out.
Right.
We handle it that way. So you don't have that offset reserve, but you have a lower P&I on refunding bonds compared to the bonds that
So you
you're
just roll it
taking
into
out.
the new issue.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
When we were first going through this whole process, I thought I understood that we were, as a town, to borrow the whole amount of the school and borrow that. I mean, this looks better. Did I misunderstand that, or has something changed? Is Mass
Yeah,
School
the-
Building Authority now just paying as we go? Because I thought in the beginning we were told that we'd have to borrow the whole amount.
We had to appropriate the whole amount, if I understand it correctly, which,
Okay.
but not borrow. Am I stating that
Okay,
correctly?
that was a misunderstanding, okay.
And we've been getting
67
funding
was
all
the
along.
first piece.
We've been getting
It's not better
funding
than it
all
looks,
along.
Gary.
Right, so they're
Okay.
getting,
It's not better than it looks, it is what it is.
Well, I mean, it's better than having to borrow 52 million.
Well,
I
it
mean,
is- that's true.
and then rely on,
so we're getting payments from MSBA.
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
that's
yeah,
what's
absolutely.
helping right now, because we
Right.
basically haven't
Right.
got that much to pay for as we're going along, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? I will entertain the appropriate motion.
So Mike, we have this vote of the Board of Selectmen by the secretary, and do we need to go through this entire?
Kara indicated that you do not.
If you're comfortable, you can move it as written, and your clerk has the minute, the,
I have the motion, yeah, she sent it to me in Word document.
she has it in Word,
Thank
so
you.
she can just paste it in for you.
We have that motion, we're gonna make that motion?
It's the whole
Just,
page.
you make a motion
We can
as
move it as
written.
written.
Yeah, right.
As written?
That's what it is, yeah.
What is this called as written?
So you can say, we move to adopt the vote as written, something like that would
Okay.
work. It works for me.
You want me to do it?
Go ahead, bud.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the terms on the funding for the school bonds for the Pembroke School project as presented, which includes a 25-year borrowing, 25-year bond with the interest rates and amortization schedule, payment schedule as presented. Close enough?
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second, just check, does that meet your needs? Okay, meets our needs?
Yes.
Yes. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming and explaining
No problem.
all this to us, we really
My
appreciate it.
pleasure. Did you want a copy of the bids, or are you all set?
As long as we have a
I
copy
have-
in the office.
You have
As
it?
long as
Okay.
Mike has a copy.
Mike got 'em?
All
Great.
right, great, thank you.
Have a good night.
Dave likes to read.
So when will we actually see the cash?
When are you closing?
Next week?
We're gonna go to market, what, next week?
May 1.
May 1?
Closing.
Okay,
You're in the house, buddy.
cool.
Clerk gets to sign.
Yeah, have a good
Well,
night.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I don't know.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, Gary seconded.
Gary, did you
Gary.
say?
Gary seconded, yes. You seconded?
Sorry, I missed
And then
who
you voted against
seconded it.
Hey,
You moved it forward.
Hey,
Okay, Joe,
baby steps, baby steps. Please, Chief Cudmore, the Police New Explorer Program. Welcome. How are you?
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I believe I'd given Janet a copy of what we're intending to do here. A couple of years ago, there were some kids, I apologize, I caught the cold that everybody else has. There were a couple of kids that came before the then Police Chief Mulligan concerning the Explorer program. Georgetown has never participated in it, and I had determined that when I did in fact take over, that I would explore it, no pun intended, and try to get it going. And so we've done that, and I have 3 officers who are volunteering their time to get it up and running. The description is there, and the fire department has a component to their department with an Explorer program. There's no cost to the program, with the exception of some hats and some shirts, which if I don't have that in budget, I'll pay for that myself. I'm not concerned with that. But the purpose of the program is to provide anybody who's interested with the working knowledge of the law enforcement system and function within our community, and guide interested youth in the law enforcement profession, as well as attempt to develop some leadership from the community alongside with the police department. We did have a brief table at the lunches at the school to just try to get a feel for it. We do have some interest. We're going to follow the national protocol and program, so I will not deviate from that. May make some minor changes so that they're conducive to our town. But probably the most important part is the policy and procedures, which I've developed a manual for that. And it's important to understand that in the Explorer program, and you can see by the manual, that there's no designation of police with regard to the program. It's an Explorer program. Although they work within the confines of the police department, and that's their mission, it's very a separate organization, so that nobody can either mistake nor misunderstand that these folks are actually members of the police department. But it's more of an educational program, field trips with the various law enforcement agencies, as well as working within the community with some of the events that we have here. And I have some people who are very excited about it, and I was hoping the board could give a vote in the affirmative, and I'll move forward with that. We'll probably start with 10, so that we have the requirement, and then we'll see what we can handle from there and see if we have the interest.
That's a great idea.
That's awesome. Love it.
Questions from the board?
he answered mine.
Chief Beardsley, are you here for this too? Are
No
you here
cost.
for the same item, or are you here for something different? Are you here for the same item?
No,
Oh, okay. Just fine. Make sure I
our
didn't,
explorers are already up and running.
make sure I didn't
Yeah,
forget
their
you.
Explorers are awesome, too.
That's awesome, Chief. You're gonna play games and compete with each other, I hope?
Yeah, we'd like to see that, a little basketball games.
We'll talk about that.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the Police Explorer program as presented by Chief Cudmore.
Second. Motion and a second. Any other question or comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Perfect.
Thank you very much.
you.
Thanks,
much.
Chief, that's
Good
a great
evening.
idea.
Could I ask
Sure.
a question, since I made a note again, on something going forward that we've talked about before when the chief was here, and that's since we earlier had the Camp Dennison people here about trying to, another year's near to gone by, and we have no policy on whether we need a policy about officers at certain things like what just happened at Camp Dennison. I don't know
Right.
if you've got a procedure yet, but
Well, what I do is when the permits come before the boards and they come over to the office at the PD, I look at the original intent that the Camp Dennison Committee and the Conservation Commission had developed, and they had developed that at the infancy stages concerning the use of the facility when there is alcohol served. We very rarely require details for any other event down there with the exception of the alcohol sales, only because it's town property, excuse me, and that it would probably benefit the public safety component to ensure that we have an officer there. If the town, based on size or the particular event, did not want police details there, I would have to take it on a case-by-case basis. But I've seen some crowds of 25, when you're serving alcohol, things change, and the fact that it's isolated, and the fact that it is on town property may trigger the need for it at all times. When Mr. Lacy had come to, in the 5 Bobs or 4, how many there were, came to the police station that day and talked about this, that was their primary concern. And so, you know, when you have 175 people, and the venue is irrelevant. I mean, we've had problems with weddings between families, so, you know, things can take a swing for the worse. But I certainly agree with Mr. Fowler that it's difficult for me to require police details when we have charitable functions trying to earn and make money for their event, and then there's that cost for the police protection. And I believe too, at times, the fire chief has required fire details down there too, for whatever the event is. But it's public property.
Yeah, I agree with Gary. I think there should be some type of SOP so that it takes takes that decision, you know, not away from, but it gives you more guidance.
Right.
That says, hey, if it's on town property, no matter what the event is, you know, if that's what we decide.
Well,
You know, whatever that comes out to. We don't wanna drive the cost up, but I hear you. I think there should be
No,
something
but if I may,
standard.
on the license, and it is on here that it was required, but many times we also state that we want it.
Yeah, I
We didn't
always
do that tonight.
push.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
that's part of why and I do see that, you know, you have put that on there, that you require it, so.
What I can do is, I have the original file when Camp Dennison came to be, and we had the original meeting with the stipulations of actually renting the facility and using it. I can forward them to the board for review. I kind of use that as the policy guide when I do get a permit request. There's some very detailed language in there that the Camp Dennison Committee and the Conservation Commission came up with in concert. And so when a particular event comes before me, that's what I use as a guide. Is it a policy? I would assume they, as one an elected board and one an appointed board, that they probably adopted some type of policy with those stipulations or regulations. There is regulatory guidelines for the serving of alcohol, and we may be reinventing the wheel if we take all of those documents and maybe combine them. We may not have to have, maybe there is policy in place in that regard.
Because we've had it at American Legion, we've had requests to there, and.
The library.
So let's, the library, let's just get it consistent so that, you know, it doesn't seem like it's just based on, you know.
I actually,
arbitrary-
last year, for the concert series, they used to require details down there, and what I did was, I actually, last year, and the year before, even under Chief Mulligan, I used duty officers and was able to put someone additional down there without cost to the event, so that, you know, we were able to absorb that cost just on the town side for the event, so that they wouldn't have to pay for that officer.
If I may, I mean, it's for the future, but I mean, perhaps the best policy for us is that we just defer it to the chief. And we go with what he states, and then that would take us out of the picture. We would, you know, we go over that every time we do it, and that's what I'm saying.
I think if we had some guidelines, though, it would help people
Okay.
plan their budget
But I
potentially.
mean, we need to,
So if they wanted to plan an event, to know what's gonna be required of them can help them
or
with
if they
budget
come,
planning.
yeah, ahead of time.
We do private details at people's homes with parties. People will call us if they have 150 people at their home. Particular venues, they actually hire private details for assistance with traffic control and a presence. Whatever, you know, whatever they're having in their home or on their property, they just want a presence there, and we have done that before too.
Could we ask the chief to come up with his own policy that you would like to see out there?
Sure.
I think it should be really under A, your discretion, and B, we're not, professionals in the space, and you
Mhm.
probably have a better sense of what venues have potential concerns versus us.
I would use the licensing guidelines that are currently in place, and that, those documents that were presented at the time when that facility was open.
Okay. Well, I think, yeah, if we can apply it to all the public venues that come to us for these things, and whatever metrics you use, people, cars, whatever, just to give us some guidelines as to what the appropriate safety measures are.
I'll send it to
'Cause
Mike.
we don't wanna seem, my concern too is we don't wanna seem arbitrary where year to year, different requirement is given to a different group.
Plus,
It's
Mr.
been pretty
Chairman,
consistent so
I don't wanna
far.
see it all put on the chief either. I think that, it's good when something's approved ahead of time that says, for this type of, event at this venue, it's just mandatory.
Right, but I
you
think
know.
if the chief says this is what he recommends based on
Right.
those guidelines, we
Right.
can then say, we
Yeah.
approve it based on.
Well, I've yet to waive, I've yet to waive a police detail for a liquor serving license at this point,
Yeah, I've been
in
here on this
any
board for
venue.
6-7 years, and I've
Yeah.
never had,
Just,
an-
you know-
we've never had an issue, and we've been very,
Right.
the police department's been very, very consistent, and the boards that I've been served on has always been consistent too, but
But I will do that for you, I don't have a problem with that at all, and it may even need further review from your board, but it will be conservative.
Great,
Great.
perfect. Thank you, as
All right.
always.
Thanks,
you.
chief.
See you later.
Thank you.
Okay. Keon's change of DBA to Halloway's.
I don't see him here.
Okay, they need to be here for that?
Yeah, there's two names on here.
That's up to you. They
Okay.
it's a
requested to
public
be
hearing,
here.
right?
Well,
No, it's not, it didn't have,
let's pass over for now, and then I can come back to it.
it didn't have to be posted as a public hearing, but they have to be approved by the select.
Can I ask a question on it? We'll wait.
Yeah,
You
let's
said
wait
you'll
until
come
we
back,
actually
okay.
address it.
Okay.
Talk to the attorney who
So,
used to be here.
Peter, I know why are you guys here for warrant stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was on my calendar.
Are you here for warrant stuff too?
Just wanna make sure that, I just wanna make sure our stuff has been put on, for the ambulance and such.
Okay. All right, let me just see if we can get through some of these here, and then, so, let me jump a little bit. Where's the one I saw to authorization of town administrator to sign MOU of 68 Elm Street, Johnson. Peter, actually, let me ask this. Peter, what are you here for?
The warrant stuff.
Okay. In that case, I'm not gonna jump there. Economic development, reduce members from 7 to 5. Sorry for the confusion, that's where we're at.
I take it it's because they just don't have enough volunteers on that board, they're having a hard time getting the votes.
Quorum.
Yeah.
Correct.
Gary's on the economic development.
Yeah, we failed to have a quorum at our last meeting, and it's been small. I don't think we need to do it tonight, but I think perhaps for next year, before we make the appointments, that it might be good to do that, and I just wanted this board to be aware of it, that we're having that problem and to take it up.
Have there been
You can do it
resignations?
tonight if you-
People-
pardon
have
me?
there been resignations on the board?
Well, that's just it. No, I don't think so. We're not, actually not sure, perhaps even who has gotten approved. We've got one member that was coming, and now he hasn't been. Another member who's traveling a lot and can't make it. We just appointed another one. I think he ended up with a problem with the last meeting, so it would be a lot easier to get quorum if we went down to 5, I believe, and we really, as far as active members, we probably only have about maybe 4 right
That's
now.
an issue. I mean, I don't think it changes, it just makes it easier for the body to function. I mean, I have no issue if someone wants to. Do we just do that with a motion, or is that like,
Yeah, it's a selectmen committee, so you can,
Should we notify the other members?
Well, that was it. My only question is right now, would we, I don't think we do have more than 5 appointed. I mean, I wouldn't want it, that was why I was saying I wouldn't want to do it tonight and find out that, oh, we've got 6, there's just one that hasn't been showing up.
sorry, you've been voted off the island? We've changed the structure.
So that's why I mentioned next year when we do those appointments
Okay,
and
well,
that, and
It's duly noted, but
Next month.
we should make sure we understand the current membership before we do that then, or the current members, I should say.
I was
Do
gonna,
them next month.
Pardon me?
We'll be doing them next month.
That's why I say,
Next
if,
year.
if we,
That's fine.
if, let's say you wanted to do it for the appointing season tonight for next year, I think that would be fine to go ahead and do that tonight.
Well, I just wanna make sure that it's, that we have 5 members or less, 5 people or less who are interested. So we can follow up on that,
When
but
I
it's a
was
good heads up.
Going over, I meant to call Janet today and ask, but it was about 4:40 when I was going over that. I said, well, I don't think she'd be there.
Okay, Selectmen to request Board of Assessors to apply the FY15 tax increase to all 4 quarters. Mike, can you walk us through that one?
Yeah, in talking with the assistant assessor, the DOR does allow the Board of Assessors to set a tax rate to include the debt service from the very beginning in the first quarter. It's always been available, but nobody's rarely done it. If you recall, when the bond, the debt service for the study of the Pembroke School hit, it hit in the 3rd quarter and the 4th quarter, and it basically was twice as much as everybody thought it was gonna be, and it raised a lot of, it surprised people. They caught them unaware, and they didn't have time to save up the money in their escrow account either. So, the Board of Assessors would just like a written request, and I drafted a memo to that effect. If you would, if you approve the change, we would need a motion and a vote.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the request from the Board of Assessors to apply the tax increase for FY 215 to all 4 quarters on the tax bills.
Second. Motion and a second. Comments, questions?
Yeah, so we're not gonna fall behind in terms of the debt service piece. So if we spread it to the 4, because they're only estimating, right? That it's not an actual?
The first 2 quarters are estimates,
Estimates.
yeah.
Okay. So how's that calculation gonna go?
Well,
It scares me a
we're
little bit.
budgeting the debt service, it's
Right.
there, so they can easily adjust it.
So by spreading it over 4, I'm just trying to think about this, so it would be, the effect would be twice as much if they did it in payment 3 and 4 rather than 3,
Yes.
4, 1, 2. is
We'd
what
have
we're
to
saying.
collect 1.9 million in 2 bills.
Right.
Instead of 4.
Right. So from a timing perspective, though, we're not borrowing the money till May, so that kind of makes sense to do it that way, because we're always paying in arrears.
Yes.
Okay, because I didn't want to have it, when we get to payment 3 and 4 of next year, that thing really jump up even higher.
It won't happen.
This will level it off.
Actually, after the first year,
It'll
it
start
actually
coming
starts
back
going
down.
down.
Right, assuming we're not
Ever
borrowing, and
so
assuming we're not buying anything else in town. That's a big assumption.
That
this
particular
bond.
bond,
Bond, there you go, that's what I wanted to hear, because I can hear it now. Why did my tax bill go up when Mike said it was gonna go down?
never
All right.
said it would
I just
go
don't wanna
up.
fall behind, and I don't wanna double,
I blame everything on you, Mike. Don't worry.
It's all right.
I just don't wanna pass
Paul Farrell.
pass that on in payment 3 and 4, where they'll really jump up again, you know what I mean? So, as long as we're on cycle, I don't wanna fall behind.
And
Okay.
what we're talking about for the other bonds, if that goes through, it's a small amount.
Yeah. No, I was worried about this. I didn't want to double up sometime later. I didn't want to postpone the, kick the can down the road if that was the case. As long as it's spread, we're good. All right. I have no problem.
Other questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? 5 ayes. Those and aye, Gary?
Aye,
Okay, 5 ayes.
5 ayes.
not raising the taxes, just spreading it out, right?
That's right. So trying to reduce the sticker shock.
You just done that early.
Okay, request from the neurofibromatosis Northeast organization to include Georgetown on the route for the Fourth Coast to the Cure bike ride Saturday, September 6th, 2014. And we've approved this in the past, or we have not?
Yes.
We have, I believe.
Would neurofiber boat, I can't even
I
say
don't
it.
know.
Neurofiber.
I thought they came through before.
We've had other
I'm
ones
sure
come
we've
through,
had
but this,
some, I'm not sure if
I don't know if this one,
this is new.
I think this one's new.
Okay.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Right, it just said they were seeking permission again, so I didn't know
Again,
if
I
we
thought
denied
we-
it
a couple of
or-
years
Yeah,
ago.
but I don't remember this one.
Did they withdraw? No, we never approved this in the past. I just have a couple question. The date doesn't collide with anything else going on in town that weekend. That's my only fear, September, early September. And then secondly, are the police okay with this?
Usually, if you have approved it, we send it over, tell them they have to contact them and get their approval also.
Okay.
Oh, this is a repeat. It was the Coast to the Cure.
We've done this before.
We've had this last
Yeah, we
several
may have had
years.
that one.
Yeah.
So is it a different,
They changed their name?
Um,
Coast to
Yeah,
the
it's
Cure.
the Fourth Annual Coast to the Cure
All right,
bike
that's how we
ride.
know it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Maybe we just
neurofiber
didn't
boat
notice
was
what the,
southeast is different.
yeah, with the,
I didn't know what they were curing.
yeah, we might not have noticed that before.
Okay.
Someone second?
Yeah, me.
Yeah, any other comments or questions? Did you get your-
Yeah, I mean, I'll absolutely approve it. I just, I just don't know what the master schedule looks like from the fall in terms of events and towns and stuff, but.
As we get closer, they usually have a map and timing.
I think this summer they're just gonna stop at the park.
They're gonna go down Baldpate, Nelson, Elm, Chestnut, Maine, Tenny, and Jewett. So they'll stay out of town center. No, I'm good. I
Is
just,
that Labor Day weekend?
no.
No, it's the weekend after.
Okay. Cool. Okay, any other questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? I think we're all ayes. Okay. Let's go. The MOU for Elm Street, Mike? Is this short conversation or long conversation?
No, it should be short. Mrs. Johnson was out of town. Well, she left for out of town, and in consultation with legal counsel, and because they were gonna start working the very next day, legal counsel advised me to sign it, subject to the selectmen's authorization. So the work has already started. The water line is through. They will be doing the construction of the road and the parking area at the end of May. But Mrs. Johnson is satisfied with the agreement. She got as much as she thought she could get, is what she said, and she's satisfied, and we are satisfied. So I
Okay.
just need the selectmen's authorization in retroactively.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the memorandum of understanding between the town of Georgetown and Faith Johnson, trustee of the Johnson Realty Trust as presented.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions?
Let me just add the date. It was dated March 31st. To that motion.
Well, it's as presented.
As presented. It is,
Yeah, it's on there.
We're gonna be careful of the myrtle patch.
It's already been moved.
Okay.
I have to ask, what the heck is a myrtle patch?
Yeah.
Honestly, I
Yeah,
never heard
seriously.
of
Myrtle is a ground cover.
Ground cover, little blue flowers, sometimes white.
Oh.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, I love those.
gotcha.
I don't have any of that in my yard.
Kinda looks like a low-grown rhododendron type thing.
It's an endangered species?
No.
Oh, great, I got something.
Grows like crazy in the right spot.
It's an invasive species.
Kinda like hot tub.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay.
Mike, I just have a question. The emails that went back and forth today regarding the emergency access road with the moving it because of the old trees, is that settled? Are we all set? If I read it right, it sounds like we've moved it a little bit and it's going to help mitigate much of the risk of going those trees in the future?
It's gonna mitigate the risk, but there's still, we're gonna do our best to preserve them. And moving the road is above and beyond as far as I'm concerned.
No added cost to that?
No, we didn't get a change order for that.
Okay, good.
That road's an important piece of the whole entire project. So we wanna make sure that that road goes in.
Okay, moving forward. ATM warrant review and vote. Can we, Mike, surgically target the articles with our guests here so that we can cover those in first?
Sure.
I'll let you be our tour guide as we go to the right one.
Okay, actually, there are 2 new warrant articles, right? So you have to open the warrant to get them in the warrant.
Sharon, will you open the town warrant for May 5th, 2014?
Motion to open the warrant. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous.
Okay,
I think I marked them, if you can find it.
Page 2.
okay, yeah, page 2, Article 7, Water Department. It's just to fund, to take money out of the retained earnings to fund some capital projects.
Okay.
They haven't been before the FinCom to explain what the capital projects are, but this is basically our last shot at this. We have to post it on Thursday.
Okay.
Do we know what they are?
Yeah, I mean,
No, we don't.
and what's that long-term capital plan? Going back to my days at the, before this board, I've always was adamant about them producing some type of capital plan and not, just because there was extra money in retained earnings. And I'm not saying that that's the case now, but that was the case the way I understood it before. So I would be curious to see, is this funding a long-term capital plan issue that was already planned? Or is this something that's just popped up? Do we know?
No, they have not discussed it before any body or board.
When are they meeting with the FinCom?
FinCom's only meeting one more time before town meeting, at the end of the month.
Can we just make certain that we get a sense of what those, I personally, I don't have an issue with them making capital improvements as long as the enterprise fund is fundable. But as Dave said, it would be nice if we could get a sense of what does $250,000 get us and what are we gonna need over the next 5 years?
Yeah, I talked to Mary, their fund is more than adequate. But what they specifically plan to do with it, I don't know, and FinCom doesn't know either.
Is that, excuse me, Mr. Chair, is that part of the discussion on the floor at town meeting?
Usually not.
No?
It's almost a,
Automatic.
consent calendar item.
It is a consent calendar, right?
No.
It's not.
Right, okay. I did look to see that. Honestly, I mean, we can ask the question though, if the article,
Someone will.
it could be asked, what is this gonna be used for, and the town can decide if they wanna do that or not. Okay?
Just if I could ask a question on procedure, where we've got 2 new things on, I mean, and we really haven't gone over whether we close it as is, so I guess do we wanna just open this, accept it as it is now with the 2 new articles and close it, or do we wanna, while it's open, go down? That's, I'm asking more on procedure, do we wanna just open it, close it, and then go through what we're doing?
Yeah, I agree with you, Gary.
I would think you just have to
Accept,
open it, accept the 2 new ones,
Yeah.
and then close it.
or open it, accept it as it is
Mhm.
presented, like we did earlier, and close the warrant, then we would go through
You
them.
have to open it to take any off.
Who's the
I don't
motion
think
guy
so.
here?
Okay, so.
Mr. Chair, I'll make
go ahead.
I move that we accept the warrant as written here, dated at the bottom, 4/10/2014, 2:21 PM, with the 2 new additions.
Do we have any subtractions?
Well, it's a ATM 1440.
Yeah, we'll just do the each.
Okay,
so if you
we'll
could
do
the articles.
ATM 1440 and ATM 14-41.
Okay, motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And now would I make a motion to close the warrant, or do we wanna?
Before I entertain that, is there, motion or resolution in terms of additional, if any, costs for the, turf field?
Not yet. We have a change order for the testing. That's.
But we don't know a magnitude for,
Are we gonna need a placeholder on this?
that's what I'm asking.
I can tell you what I know.
Yeah.
I think I forwarded Mike the copies of the information that came from Gale and Associates, but the school committee at their last meeting voted to do $10,000 worth of testing, which was actually done today, to look at the areas of the football field that haven't been done. Those results should be back on Friday. In addition to that, there was some information that came out that were concerns about the soil around the retaining wall, whether or not, because of its close proximity to the school itself, whether or not the wall as designed would be adequate enough, so they really needed to have more test borings done on that. So that $6,900 worth of testing was also approved. When we discussed, remember Jim Luker, who's the environmental engineer, when you came to the meeting, we asked him, can you work with Gail to get a number for the Board of Selectmen, so that if they want to include something on the town meeting warrant, it would be possible, you'd have the information. So what he did is he came up with working with Gail, a base cost to mitigate the field of about $104,000. In addition to that, depending on how much of the soil is contaminated, which they'll know when they get the test results back, the additional money to get rid of the soil can range from nothing, actually taking the topsoil if it's good, moving it to timber and getting a credit on that project, to about $12,000 to $400,000+. He thinks it's unlikely, based on his experience, that the 400 is gonna be a situation that is a reality. So I asked him point blank, what's the number that's safe for the school, until everything comes back? The town had to put a placeholder, understanding they can change it on town meeting floor. He said $200,000.
Okay, thank you. So, the question then I'll pose to the board is, do we want to put an article in there that allows the town to vote on whether or not we would spend that additional funding to remedy the soil situation?
Where's it coming from?
Don't know.
We're tapped out on free cash, right, from what I take it?
FinCom left a balance of $139,000.
Which we need to carry forward.
That was the discussion, was free cash,
Yeah,
earlier.
but there's no free cash left.
No.
If we, assuming,
Unless they reprior,
Assuming.
that's what, I just asked if we give the town a choice to say, well, we don't want to spend free cash on this, we'd rather spend it on this. There's a question. Or whether there is some other funding mechanism Okay.
I guess, do we know what we've spent so far on the field? In design and everything?
We do. I believe the number that I read the other night was, so far we've paid Gale and Associates $94,000.
So to me, it'd be a
And then,
shame.
of course, this testing is
Yeah.
additional as
So
well.
we're over 100,000 at this point.
And it would,
That's all coming out of the
CPC.
project.
I would think it would be prudent to at least not let this project die, having spent this much money. So I guess if what you're saying is put a placeholder on, and then there is still time, finance may have to have another meeting or something, I don't know, but, and it's gonna end up on town meeting floor, so it,
So we said it goes on to the special town meeting if it's this year's budget,
Yes.
which is the free cash decision, or no?
Well, yes.
Yeah, but we're
I
somehow
mean,
putting.
we've got
Oh,
free
I
cash
see.
on both, but that because of the timing, we'll need it this fiscal year. We can't wait till July,
Right.
so it has to
Well,
be on the special.
unless we weren't gonna get it at all, then I think we can wait till July, versus not having it happen, right? I mean, just as an option that, to get it done, and again, I'm not up for delays, but if we can't get it out of free cash, this year, can we get it out of budget next year, I guess is my question. I don't know if I'm gonna get an exact answer, but,
Well, again, it depends on what free cash is gonna be next year, and
right.
it's hard to tell right
So
now.
you're right, we're guesstimating either way.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, how are we financing this project? Can we just refresh that, like, real quick?
CPC.
All of it?
GAA too?
Right,
With
so that's not,
$500,000, they're paying for the rug, and we're paying for the
right, so that couldn't,
construction.
that couldn't come from additional CPC funds? Assuming there's room there, that they can, could it come from that can that be part of the site work be part of the project?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so.
I don't know what the mechanism would be
Right.
for CPC to, I don't think they have time to do it
Right.
by town meeting.
Right. I mean, could we put this out for borrowing if we had to?
No, it's too
Too
small.
Can we put a CPC article on there?
No, only CPC can.
That's what I thought you told me before, so.
They're not gonna have
Figured
it.
I'd ask again.
Yeah, it's too late, they're not gonna meet.
Right.
No, I know, just what I was asking whether,
And they've probably already appropriated all their money for the year.
we're having a sort of public hearing tomorrow night on what's been presented. We almost did put a placeholder on
For this particular issue?
it was running tight
Mhm.
as could be without this being thrown
Yeah.
in, from what I understood, whether it was gonna meet budget, but it looked like it wasn't going to, so we didn't put anything on.
so what's coming out of the free cash right now, Mike? Do you have that list again?
Yes.
It's the camera.
Thank you.
Any money in our budget to replace a buzzing camera? It'll drive you crazy after a while. Sorry, Gary.
So, we started with the 734,810. Deduct 250,000 for snow and ice. We didn't talk about this at the FinCom, but we used to pay down our snow and ice in the fall. So that's, I'm not recommending the whole thing, but, if we need some additional money, maybe we can do half now and half in the fall.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
But we always did it in the past.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's better to get it out of
Yeah.
the way.
Because if you don't have free cash next time around, what do you do?
It gets added to the
To the levy,
to the
right?
tax levy.
Yeah.
And 125,250 is, probably 3 cents.
Right. Well, a little more
Well, I
than that.
guess this, it looks like this would be the place to try to put something in, but you certainly wanna present something that's balanced.
What's, and the heat pump, is that the school heat pump?
Yeah, there were heat pumps for the roof of the school. They originally actually were, the request is 200,000. We, and they also had a request that originally was in here, and I think we have to take that out tonight if you're going to do it. There was a $40,000 request to repair concrete steps. The board, FinCom voted not to fund the steps. They were coming out of the capital fund, so they're going to conserve free cash. They're gonna take 40,000 that was coming out of the capital fund and do 160 from free cash and 40 from capital for the heat pumps.
Now, in our previous selectmen's meeting, we talked about was the possibility to stage these changes over time versus one lump sum. Right? Wasn't that our discussion saying
Yep.
why, you know,
It's to do with
can
the
we target
claim.
the ones that need it more? Is that possible to target the ones that need it more? Is it based on age? And can we plan this over 3, 4, 5 years?
Well,
If only we had someone in the audience who could tell us about
Well,
this.
no, they're all the same age. They've all reached their useful life. And we discussed this at the finance committee. The biggest factor is the expense of the crane. They have to rent the crane for a lengthy period of time, and if we bifurcated the job, you'd have to rent the crane twice. Mobilization, remobilization, that would be around an extra $20,000.
At prevailing wage, remember.
Each time?
Yes, so the finance committee felt it would be better, I mean, they discussed this long and hard, because they wanted to, you know, they really wanted to do half now, half later, but when they found out about the cost of the crane, it didn't make sense to add that additional expense.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, a couple of thoughts. One is, I think I asked this, we discussed this the last time. Are these things running? Are they still working? Are they producing heat? Are they pumping?
HVAC units.
Are they working?
We've replaced a number of them so that they are working, but they're beyond their useful life.
But they're still operating, they're still running.
I'll verify that for you, David. In
Yeah.
fact, I'll text Mike right now because I don't want to give you the wrong answer.
Right. That's my question. But then I have another procedural thought. I never thought I'd say this, but we have money coming from the assessor's account.
It's already counted and spent.
Nice try.
Okay, well, then, if we really had to, and this goes against my whole entire.
Oh, I wanna see where this goes.
This is getting deep now, but this really goes against what I've been standing for on the STAB fund. But if we had to, in order to not let $100,000 go by the wayside, we could take the ladder truck, we could take $77,000 and move the ladder truck payment out of STAB fund if we had to. Again, totally against my whole stance, but I wouldn't wanna see this, I think the project, the school project is very, very, you know, the new field is very important, and we already have 100,000 into it.
Well, the finance committee is recommending that $92,000 come out of the stabilization fund
For,
for the ambulance rehab. And then the issue
that's only
there-
temporary though.
Yes,
We
it
get-
would be,
so-
it would be put back in,
Right.
at a fall town meeting.
That's a passbook loan. We're borrowing on our own money. That's
Right.
fine. I have no problem with that. That's only a temporary situation, won't hurt our bond rating, we should be fine. But the 77,000 could be, we could take a hit, you know, take some of that, take 77,000 out of the STAB fund for the fire truck. If we really, again, totally against where I've been in the past, but for an emergency's sake, for 1 year, I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't have a problem with that. So that, we may have found a little bit there, Mr. Chairman. Maybe. Just an idea.
Question on that, that's probably earning nothing, right, because we're not allowed to invest that in any type of an investment plan? That's money in the bank?
No,
That's a number.
no, we have, we invest it, we're allowed to earn
Oh, we are.
interest, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And-
No, but I mean, can you only invest it in like the
Gold.
bank that's paying 0.25%, or
Well,
or are we getting
tre-
better?
The treasurer went out to bid, last fall, and we moved a substantial amount of money, you know, at a higher interest rate. We basically doubled our, investment income this year,
Yeah, from 10
From
basis
10
points
bucks
to
to
20.
20 bucks.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like everybody else.
8,000 to 16,000.
Yeah.
It's more the calculation,
Okay,
it's
so
the 5%.
that's- that was my- yeah.
It's the 5% of the total gross expenses that we have, times 5%, right? That's what we're supposed to have in the stab fund, so if we, you know, and we're there now, right? Aren't we there? Are we a little over?
We're,
Right under it?
we're gonna be, with the new budget, we'll be slightly under.
Slightly under. Okay.
So, do we know, and maybe Carol, you can chime in here, if for some reason we didn't get this passed, what are we on the hook for at that field? Because of so if we decided for some reason to postpone this until next year, which I'm not necessarily advocating, if it didn't pass and we couldn't find the money for this, do we have a clue of what we're on the hook for now that we've opened up the treasure chest?
Well, I think we're on the hook for the money we've already spent, obviously.
Yeah?
But we are gonna have to mitigate that field.
So what's the difference in mitigating it back to its original condition today versus an
No,
artificial?
But it's not original condition though, we're gonna have to mitigate it.
Yeah,
meaning
we
you
would
can't-
have to mitigate it, so.
Yeah, back
we
to the
might-
field it
we
is.
We might add topsoil to the top of it, you know, leave it as it is and add topsoil, regrade it. There'd be some cost, but I don't have an estimate of that because we didn't discuss that.
I think it would be important as a value point to sell it, because if it's gonna cost us another 50,000 or 100,000 to get it to back to the condition it's in without the arsenic on the field and grass it again, versus another 100,000 to get it to a artificial turf,
I can look into that.
that might be helpful.
Mike said some of the fans work and some do not.
On that same note on the fans, and Carl, you and I were talking about this the other night, is there a benefit of doing it while we're replacing the roof?
Well, that's it, if the project passes with the voters, then you're doing the whole roof. Probably makes sense to do both projects at the same time,
Right.
if you could fund it.
Well, I mean, again, just from a procedural perspective, if we only funded half the snow and ice, that's 125,000. And we took the 77,000 and took that from the stab fund, that would give us $202,000. Again, I'm a little wishy-washy. I'm still getting a little agita over the taking money out of the stab fund for the ladder truck, but for this 1 year, in order to salvage this very important project, that could be a way to do it. I don't know how FinCom would stand on, I'll probably get the emails when I get home, but 125, if we had to take half of the snow and ice now and half in the fall.
They're at your house right now, waiting.
Probably, guaranteed. But, I mean, I don't want to, it just is an idea, that's a suggestion.
What's the reminder on the technology assessment one again? Sorry, I'm blanking out.
25,000.
What was that? What were we assessing?
Technology.
Yeah, I know, what?
IT at the school department.
Whether
What are we
to
doing?
hire a guy or not.
What are we doing there?
So what does that include? What is it, like,
Just a snapshot of where they are right now.
okay.
So they're gonna do a needs analysis, see what the gaps are, and then make a recommendation.
If I may, wasn't that to do with hiring an employee?
There was discussion about that, yes, Gary.
Is that what the $25,000 is?
Well, I think initially the discussion was, maybe what we should do is wait for a year, do an assessment.
Where did that one go?
Potentially hire somebody if that's what they do. In the meantime, Mike and I met with the consultant that Joe Bonavita had suggested. He's the one who came to the meeting and said, well, I know some people who work with schools and outsource. So Mike and I did our due diligence and met with him, and as we went through kind of what we need, he said, you need a technology director. And actually, he called Joe, and Joe reported that at the meeting. And also, at the same time, I put out on the listserv to the superintendents, because I was trying to get some information, right? So I put out on the superintendent's listserv 5 questions. Do you have a technology director, full or part-time? What are their 3 top responsibilities? Do you outsource any aspect of your operation? If so, what is it and why? And then, have you ever considered outsourcing the entire operation? Why are we not? And then I produced for the FinCom a spreadsheet, which I'm happy to share with you, and all the emails that went behind it as a backup. And of the 38 to 40 people I heard from within 2 hours, only 1 said that they don't have a director, and that's really purely because they don't have the money. They have the need. They outsource their network capabilities so that they can run their emails and all of that, but it doesn't take into consideration any of the training, the ongoing professional development. And even Roger, the gentleman we talked to, he said that pretty much what they do is what is that word, Mike? Manage the hardware or service the hardware or something. They basically deal with
Hardware as a service.
Hardware as a service. They basically do that aspect of it and manage it from afar, but if they can't manage it from remotely, then they have to send somebody out. And
That's what we do at the town.
that's what you do at the town. And he agreed. He said, I find we work mostly with businesses and municipal offices because their needs are very different than schools. Schools, you're really trying to make sure you're using instructional technology. You're really using it as a tool for learning. It's a much more complicated and involved process. So actually, in the budget, we were kind of expecting FinCom to sort of approve the halftime, but they approved a full-time technology director. So the study, I think, is to help that director and the district and the town know what the needs, what's the current status and what the needs are. So moving forward with developing a plan. And I said to Mike, I think if you're going to talk about sharing services, that's the one that makes the most sense to me, is to share an IT department.
Right.
It's the easiest. So, part of what we could talk about, and I asked Roger in this assessment if he could include that, like looking at what the town is doing, what the school needs, and, make any recommendations about ways that the town and the school could work collaboratively, on purchasing, training, whatever the common needs are that we might have. So that's kind of where that sits.
So, what I would suggest in entertaining motion is that I think there's a few moving parts here still, in terms of we don't know what it's going to cost to remedy the fields. People could choose between heat pumps and field remedy. I'm not proposing they do. I'm just saying it could be under 125,000, in which case we could defer half the snow and ice and it would fit in the budget. Or it could be so much that it's not even an issue because there's no way that it fits into the budget. So my suggestion is to put an article in there to transfer appropriate available funds not to exceed $200,000. And then as this gets closer, we're going to have to work with FinCom, understand the real costs, and we're going to have to be smart on the floor, because I think ultimately, while it's the town's choice how to spend this, it's our job to make sure we are responsible in what we're presenting to them, and that we explain it appropriately. So I think it's responsible to put that on there now for a middle reasonable amount, and then make sure that we're clear and we explain it appropriately to the town as things flush out, and see if it makes sense, and let people decide what they want to do.
Agreed.
So I will entertain a motion, but we're still open, right, the warrant?
No.
Yeah, but
Writing it.
this would go on the special.
Okay.
We didn't do
We didn't close the warrant though
Yeah,
yet.
do we close it?
No, we didn't close it
We have
yet.
a second on a motion right now. We're in
Right.
discussion.
This is
Well,
discussion.
could I ask, where is,
Thanks for that flashback, 'cause I totally forgot.
Mr. Chair, the free cash assessments that we have here, they're going into the regular budget, correct?
No, they're in the warrant,
We're in the warrant to pay for this.
They're in the warrant.
assuming we pass them all.
So, but I mean, if like what Dave is saying, if that's the place where we feel we should put it, why would we put it on a special town
Because
meeting?
we need it for this fiscal year. The field's gonna be built by well, the design part and the it's gonna be built by July first.
Yeah, we need the money before the.
So we gotta pay for the mitigation mitigation before July.
Is that the timing?
So you,
July?
yeah,
Because we're gonna spend the money this year.
okay, I thought that it wasn't starting until in the summertime.
No,
Okay.
it won't finish now, probably July one, but we need the money to be able to put it out to bid.
Okay.
We want the mitigation done as part of the construction contract and not as a change order like it happened at the Pembroke, which is much more expensive to do that way.
Right. So we have an open motion about adding the 2 articles, correct? And that discussion led us down the other path as to whether or not we need to add another article, which we don't, because that has to get opened to the special town meeting. So, unless there's any other discussion on the 2 articles that I proposed to add,
Which was the second one?
Fire truck.
the fire,
Ambulance.
Ambulance rehabilitation.
Yeah.
if there's any other discussion on that, we'll take a vote on that.
So I have a question on the rehab. Chief,
5,
on the ambulance rehab,
top article.
are you gonna take it out of the revenues for the ambulance?
That's where
Ultimately?
eventually will come out of. Right now, we can't do anything until the DOR has certified
Mhm.
retained earnings.
Mm-hmm.
They usually come in, Mary says usually around October timeframe,
September.
September, yeah. So once they certify them,
Yep.
then no problem. Then our anticipation is at fall town meeting, make the transfer out of
Okay.
returned earnings into the.
So there will be a windfall then, Mike, because we really haven't spent the overlay money. You're putting the overlay money into stab fund, that's coming out to pay for the ambulance, but it's being reimbursed, and it's at 100%, right? So there's really, the money,
92,000 will go back into
yeah,
free cash,
oh, all right, so, okay.
but it won't,
This year.
no,
No,
it'll go
that's
back into stabilization.
So stabilization will grow by 92,000 once it's all cleared out. It's not just a wash, because,
Oh, it's a wash.
No,
We're taking it out, we'll put it back in.
I understand that, but the assessors are also putting it in. The assessors are putting it in, we're taking it out, and then the fire department's putting it back in. That's 2 ins and 1 out. That grows the stab fund. Of course. I'm a bean counter from way back.
The assessors are putting it in.
Right, aren't we getting the money from the assessors? We're gonna put that in the stab fund. It's gonna grow the stab.
No.
Okay, well, that was the question.
Oh, no, that's going to, there's a new article on that's going to the highway department operating budget for road repairs.
Is that the Article
Ah.
4 on the special?
Yes.
But are we reducing that by any of the money that we just got from the state?
No,
No? All right, so you didn't explain that, okay. I thought I was going.
we didn't get that
Stab
yet.
fund, yeah, you didn't get me that far.
Okay.
Okay, all right, whatever. All right, I thought we had a little windfall there.
okay, Ed, nice
Almost.
try. Okay,
Try.
Jay, keep working, you're gonna
Keep
find
working
it.
the numbers,
Keep
man.
going,
You're gonna
buddy.
find it, buddy, we're counting.
We'll find this. Well,
Um,
based on the information I had.
Yeah.
we voted to
Got the verbal
accept the
part of
warrant,
it.
I think, already.
Problem, right?
It's just the
vote
information on
to,
the
yeah.
back.
We didn't take the
We
vote,
did.
No,
just,
we're in
Oh.
discussion on we had a motion and a second.
Oh, I thought we did.
So, all
vote.
those in favor of the
Closing
motion
the
to
warrant.
add those 2 articles to the warrant, say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
I thought we already did that, but I'll say.
Yeah,
aye.
I thought we did too.
I thought we were just
We may
voting to
have, this
close.
is, you guys went since, I
Yeah,
actually caused it. We went
then,
down
yeah,
that.
I was looking to close it.
All right, so now, motion, I'll entertain a motion to close the warrant.
So moved.
The annual town meeting warrant.
Annual town meeting warrant, that's the one that's open.
The highway surveyor would like to be heard, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Could we find out from, other towns what they do about the arsenic problem that they have in their towns? Because, I mean, if we start here at the football field, we've already done Pembroke, we're gonna go to the football field, then we're gonna go to the upper fields, and then we're gonna go to Pearlie. You know, when's it gonna stop that we're gonna spend money mitigating these problems?
Agreed.
When, you know, I hear that the arsenic problem's from Worcester to the ocean. So is it every town, is it all over town?
well,
What are other
I
towns doing?
feel like we've discussed is we're mitigating it where we're doing
Any major
construction.
projects,
It's part of doing
But-
business from now
So,
on.
I mean,
Well,
you know, the townspeople aren't gonna just keep on saying yes to spending money.
Well, when it comes to the kids playing on the fields, I think it might be a little different than you think. I hear parents going crazy out there for it. I hear with you. I think we've kind of collectively said if it's a significant project where we're disturbing the ground, then we will, we'll entertain the opportunity to do that or not, but not
I mean, if
everywhere.
you look at the upper fields right now, there's hardly any grass on them.
Right.
So if there's arsenic there, we don't test it, how do you know if it's there? So are we gonna go up there and test that and, or are they gonna go in there and start making the fields better? So there's more grass, there's not as much dust that's flying all over the place. It just seems like it's gonna be a lot of money for this town. Are we gonna cap the whole town? What happens when we start doing road work? Are we gonna have to test the soil when we do road work?
You're capping the soil.
We're capping the football field.
But
Capping the roads.
he's raising dust, and he's gotta protect worker safety, if that's the issue, that's the issue.
Yeah, but
It's not only the disposal,
We-
it's the worker safety.
I mean, what are the levels that were at Pembroke? Were they below the public levels? And, what are these other towns doing? I hear that they built the school in Stowe and they didn't do anything. I hear there's arsenic in Haverhill and they're not doing anything.
I don't know the answer to that.
I think it's something we should look into. I think it's something that we should maybe even look into, if somebody, maybe a professor from, UMass Amherst can come out and help us with this. Instead of paying somebody that, you pay somebody to say, okay, this is not good for you, or it's okay for the town, and then they end up getting a job out of the deal.
I also think too, remember that if we hadn't gone for LEED certification, so it could be that other towns haven't tested. It's not a standard testing process. It was specific to the LEED certification.
Unless you have to do a
No.
level.
So why
Note
would
to
we test
self,
at the
no more
football
LEED
field?
certification on these projects.
well, you can't say that either.
Well,
I
that
mean,
came
the whole
before us
thing
on the
is,
board, and it was because we
little
had
extra
found the problem
conservative.
before, that we thought it was a responsible thing to test there as well. Because we had samples and, and it was a relatively short cost to test.
And-
We
and
didn't really
those-
know how we'd
those- And those
explain.
levels were much lower
Right,
than the Pembroke levels. There were levels at Pembroke that were in the hundreds.
right, exactly. So that was what we determined, is that we were doing a construction project, there would be dust, there'd be dirt removal. And we had just found a problem not too far away, that we wanted to make sure that the construction was done safely, particularly for the, again, school, kids there in the school, neighbors around the school. That was why we voted to test there.
Pete, I hear you. I think it's opening up Pandora's box. I completely agree that if you test anywhere in town, there's probably a higher than 50-50 probability that you might find something. I think that we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. I mean, it's really, we have a responsibility to do something and not just, shy our heads away. But I completely agree that we can't afford to clean up the entire town if the entire town's full of arsenic. But I think any major projects where kids are playing on these fields all day long, that we're really digging up the fields and disturbing it. That was one of the reasons why I voted for this. But we certainly have got to look at this in a more holistic approach than these one-off projects. I mean, we could certainly go bankrupt at the rate we're going if we wanted to test the rest of the town.
So, Mr. Chair, I have a question. On the, on this mitigation, what's involved in the mitigation at this point? Because we already have the plan from Pembroke, so I hope we're not paying for another plan
No.
out of this green seal or whoever's doing
They're
it.
assuming that it's naturally occurring, Stu, so.
No, I get
so we're not
that.
dealing with the whole DPH thing, which was a big cost.
Right. So where's the
so I think-
200 coming into play?
Okay, so I'm sure that Mike can forward you that information, or I would be happy to forward it to you, to Mike, if he doesn't have it. But it includes, it depends on what approach they take.
Right.
So if it just ends up being the topsoil that needs to, so they've looked at all kinds of, they looked at, what if you just left it the way it was, raised the grade,
Right.
put 18 inches for your irrigation system, and then on top of that, put the turf.
Right.
The problem with that is they're saying that the material that's there now is not suitable to have the field built on top of it.
Not stable enough?
It's not stable enough. It's not appropriate for this kind of thing. So then if they just take the topsoil off and put their irrigation in, then that's a lot less costly.
Right.
The reason we're testing all over the field, so let's say it comes back on Friday and the 3 places where it was above,
Normal.
the 2 that it was above 20 and the 1 that it was above 40,
Yep.
okay, are the only places it tests high. Every place else is, you know, in the low 20 or below. Because when that field was built, there was a lot of fill brought in. If they're only digging down enough to put digging the topsoil up, they're not going
Okay.
way down deep. You don't really care what's way down deep.
Yep.
You just care about what's gonna be in the area you're gonna dig.
Right.
If they find that that area is pretty clean, then now the soil you've gotta move carefully with all the conditions, and the areas that you have to dispose of are much smaller. There's fewer so the cost obviously goes down.
Yeah.
So they're part of what they're charging for right now is so we got the testing that they're doing, and then it's the cost of having somebody be on site to monitor for the time during the construction. That's a pretty significant cost on top of, you know, the disposal of the soil in those areas that they know are affected.
So are we talking, what's the estimated construction time for that, timeline?
Construction.
As far as site work and everything? What
Well,
are
I
they
think if
talking?
the town were, if they figured out what they were gonna do and the town were to appropriate the money, they're really working on the bid specs now. They could just get that information out and get it back pretty quickly. The only other mitigating factor that we're still trying to weigh, and I told you there was 2 sets of testing.
Yeah.
One was the $10,000 to test what we all talked about.
Yeah.
But then I also mentioned that issue with the retaining wall.
Yeah.
So depending what that testing shows, it may require another looking at the design, moving the field
Left or
closer to
right?
the brook,
Okay.
and not going into to mitigate the cost, not going into the hill quite so much, because that retaining wall wouldn't be as required to be at the size it is in the drawing. So those things have to be all worked out, and then of course you gotta go back to Concom
Right.
if you change the plan. So,
Are we at Comcom? Are we good with
yeah,
Concom right now?
this week, I
for
think,
the con-
they're going to, well, we're not good, but
Okay.
we're going to the Concom meeting. The independent evaluator that we paid to have
Mhm.
do it, hasn't come back with any recommendations yet, hasn't completed his review. So I don't anticipate on Thursday night when they meet with Concom that there's really gonna be any action or movement, which would mean it would go to the May meeting. And then, obviously then we'd have more information about this testing, you know, what the plan needs to be. If they're needed to, the question will be if they need to change the plans and shift the field, will that then require them to not use the NOI they've got now and have to submit a new NOI? And it
Well,
might-
that pushes everything back.
and it might, I think they're gonna have a little conversation
It's gonna be tight.
with Steve about that. It may be that we're building the field in the fall.
Okay.
It may be that.
Okay.
It's not optimal, but, you know, none of us picked this. We have to respond to it. We have to do it in a way that makes sense for everybody. I'll tell you though, the GAA feels very strongly that they can't put the lights in. It's not really a project that they feel they can really go forward with, because that's what's giving them the availability. So, you know, we've looked at the turf field and we saw the cost. We said, wow, was there anything we can take out of the project? But really, it's down to, right now, it's down to the turf, the four out of the 6 lights, and the fencing. You know, there's no scoreboard, the mound has to be privately fundraised for. I'm not even sure there's portable bleachers in it anymore. So those are things, like I said, the most important thing is the field and the lights. You can add things,
Yeah,
you know,
later on.
slowly through various sources. But it's not like we can go back in and take stuff out of the project now.
Yeah.
There's not
Bare bones.
a lot of, additional costs can't be incurred. That's why they're looking at that retaining wall saying, we really can't invest a lot more money in that retaining wall.
Right.
It's just it's not included in the cost of the project.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I want to go back to then entertaining a motion to
We had it.
close the warrant. Does someone make that motion? Or-
It was done.
Close the
It's
warrant.
already been done.
Okay, I thought we still had to get that I know we had to
Yeah.
vote on it, right?
We did. We got that.
No, we haven't closed it.
We haven't
No, we
closed
haven't
it.
Vote to
voted.
close it.
No, we haven't voted, 'cause the question came up in the middle.
Right.
That's why I was trying to-
We have not
Stu made
closed
the
it.
motion, no one seconded it.
Right. definitive.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. All right, all those in favor of closing the town warrant?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
No, we need to
so
open.
now, if we want to offer a potential solution here, we need to open the,
Chair, I move that we open the special town meeting warrant for May 5th. 2014.
Second.
motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Probably nice and
Okay,
kick
you
it.
make your pick. Okay, so,
We have a new article that you have to add to the warrant. Number 4. This is, the Finance Committee recommending that the $91,000 that's coming from the overlay surplus account be used for additional road repairs in the Highway Department budget. That would go in this year's budget, and it would be, you'd have to get everything under contract before the end of the year so you can carry it over. That works? Yeah. In addition to the 45,000 for the emergency DOT money too. That has to be, actually, that work has to be completed by June 30th.
I thought it had to be done by September.
That's what I thought too originally in that email, but they have a contract tonight to sign to complete it by June 30th.
All right.
Get moving.
Can you pull that off, Pete?
Extra guy.
Hot top's expensive. It doesn't go a long way, so.
so, entertain a motion to add STM 1404 highway road maintenance to the special town meeting warrant.
So moved.
Second.
So, move second, discussion.
Yes, Mike, how are we getting the 91,000 into the stab fund? Doesn't that require a vote from the Board of Selectmen?
No, the
Automatic.
motion will take it directly from
The overlay?
the overlay account to the budget, operating budget.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions?
We need a 5th article.
Let's vote this one first.
That's the
Let's just keep
45.
going.
Well, we
Can we
could
vote this
just-
first, or do we need to?
Well, yeah, you can do them one at a time.
Because that's the motion on the floor right now, so, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What are we, we're
The 91,000.
adding that.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
was the motion. Aye.
Okay, and what is the 5th one?
Well, I heard we need an
Oh,
extra
the one we just
$200,000.
talked about, right.
So, Article 5 would read, to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of, not to exceed $200,000 for arsenic mitigation for the artificial turf project.
Someone want to make that motion?
So moved.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chair, I move that we add Article 5 to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of no greater than $200,000 for the mitigation for the artificial turf field.
All you needed was a second. I already moved
He's
it.
asleep over there.
I can't make a motion.
He can suggest the.
All right, we got a motion on the
Second.
table, second.
I
Discussion,
agree with you, Dick.
Yeah, absolutely.
discussion.
You better
I think
order
we
us.
discussed
What were
it.
we
You
doing,
better
two
order
hundred
some
thousand?
coffee.
Yeah, not to exceed $200,000.
Not to exceed, thank you.
Oh, my head hurts. So does my wallet.
Any other questions on this one? Okay,
And we stated that it's for the,
Yeah,
the
the-
turf field,
yeah,
okay.
the arsenic remediation.
What a kid.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye. Reluctantly.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we close the special town meeting warrant for May 5th, 2014.
Second.
Motion is second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There we go. Now we'll move.
Okay, so we got that. Chief, we
There's
got
a little
you
bit
covered
going on there.
The money, the ambulance money moving,
Yep.
right?
I just wanted to make sure if you had any
Thank you.
questions.
Okay, Good, thank you for being here. And then,
Good night.
Pete?
Anything else is all at the warrants and that's on the, for the town meetings?
Anything to discuss with Peter?
The 1 ton, something like that.
No, are you gonna be able to
If
handle
I may,
that
Mr.
45
Chair.
before May?
Are we going to try to go over these tonight, or are we going to, it's gotta get printed shortly, correct, Mike?
Thursday.
Posted.
Yeah,
Well,
so I mean, we
it's
could,
posted, but
we could,
we have to put the, you know, whether you support or not in the book.
Oh.
yeah, but that's not, doesn't need to be printed, so I mean, we could still vote on it at our next meeting on the 23rd. We would know more from,
The 28th.
28th?
28.
what was it? It's on the bottom here. 28th, I'm sorry, excuse me, yeah.
Cutting it close.
Well,
Because
I
the
mean,
following Monday
I
would
won't be
be,
here the 28th, I'll be
following
traveling
Monday would
back.
be
I
town
won't be here
meeting.
the 28th either.
It doesn't give
Okay.
much time to get it out for the public
Oh, I
to
guess
view.
then,
Warrant.
do we need anything for,
If you guys have questions, Pete, you and I have spoken on these, so I completely understand the need for your request. But
I guess, if I may, well, Pete, is that being bought outright, or are we doing that on a 5-year thing again, or what?
Purchase.
It's purchase, outright purchase, okay.
What's that, on the 1 ton?
Is that out of the capital improvement fund?
Yes, I believe it, yeah, that's
Yes.
under their articles,
Yes.
yeah.
And the fire vehicle as well? Was that capital improvement? I saw that.
And yes,
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for Peter? Looks very excited to answer your questions.
Yeah, I do have, unrelated to the warrant, where are we on the engineering for Elm Street? I thought we were gonna be talking about that.
I spoke with the engineer today, and he brought out his conservation person to look at, for drainage and things like that. And he feels that he can, take care of the drainage, whether it's a closed system or we use rain gardens, for the same price that he quoted me 2 years ago.
Okay.
I feel comfortable with, hiring him as our engineer to take care of the Elm Street project and take care of the, we literally walked the street today
Okay.
and looked at any problems that, may arise, with the drainage. Even collecting the water from Pembroke. We'd like to talk to the Pembroke people about taking the top 2 basins and put them, it may not have to be a rain garden, but maybe a retention area, that it's only holding 2 basins, which may be 100 feet of water coming from the hill, but it will slow down that much water coming down the hill that goes on to Elm Street. And they're talking about putting in, it's similar to a septic system or a septic tank on the side of the road. So the water goes into the deep sump catch basins, goes into the manholes, goes into this device that basically lets the sediment go to the bottom, and you clean that out periodically like you would a catch basin. And so it doesn't let dirty water go into the wetland area.
Okay. So you're gonna be back to us for approval on that,
Yep.
what, the 28th?
It won't be the 28th.
After that?
Yep.
well, you were trying to get the, what was it, safe roads?
I looked into that, and their, what they give out for bond, or, grants is between 300 and 700,000, and that won't include drainage. So if we went with them, they may be able to do some sidewalk work, but they like to come in and do the engineering and everything, and I don't know, the time frame that we have to work with. They're talking it would take 3 to 3.5 years to do what they need to do. We still need to do drainage. I can definitely talk to them about putting new signs, the school zone signs, because those aren't getting replaced with the Pembroke School project.
So sometime in May, you think, Pete?
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind. So Pete, the last time you were in here on this, you were looking to spend about $200,000 or so on the design.
Yep.
And you were looking to do that out of your own budget?
I was gonna use chapter 90 funds.
And I think we tried to talk you out of that?
Yep.
Did we do a good job?
Yeah, if the town wants to pay for it, that's great. Cause there's plenty of roads that, I can show you a list of roads that need to be done.
Okay.
So,
No, that's
yep.
the whole reason I'm
Yep.
asking. I'd rather have that money go to immediate
Yep.
issues.
Yeah, we got lots of holes to fill.
yep.
Okay, good.
But as, as an emergency sake, we could always, last resort, use chapter 90 funds, yes?
We could, but it's not
So
an
the-
emergency yet?
I understand, but at least we know the project will happen. We cannot not do Elm Street.
No, I get you, on the actual street itself,
Yeah.
right, versus the
Yeah.
monies to fix the potholes and roads.
Right.
Gotcha.
And I'd like to thank everybody that helped out with the Earth Day cleanup day on Saturday. We filled another 40-yard dumpster, and the roads are a lot better than they were before the cleanup was, so.
Good job. So Stu did North Street by himself.
Yeah.
A lot of nip bottles we picked
Yeah.
up.
I could not believe the amount of vodka bottles
Yeah.
on North Street. It was out of control.
Mine are on ball.
And this is the
Well, I
Thanks,
picked up
buddy.
yours. I had your name on it.
7th year we've been doing this too,
Yeah.
so.
I literally filled up my pickup truck once, and the highway department guys
Pete,
pulled
I'm
up
sorry,
behind me and took it all, and then I had another bag and a
I had an
half.
open house at the Masonic Lodge. so
Nope,
couldn't
I
make
dropped
it.
some bags off at your house, so
I'm
there's still
sure.
some areas on Ball Pit.
Just do my backyard, I could probably fill it up, to be honest with you.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you to all the volunteers. who
Thanks,
did
yeah, that was
Pete, thank
great.
you.
Thanks for doing
Thank
that,
you.
Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
All right, so before we talk about whether we go through and vote on the warrants tonight, let's just take care of a few other things. So let's be done with our agenda, and then we can decide what we want to do there. So going back to Keon's change of DBA to Holloway's, I mean, this is just a change of name. I don't think we really need to
I don't
interview
need to be
anybody.
present.
I mean, as long as the forms are done and everything's
Unless you have
done,
any questions,
Okay.
I mean,
see if I
I
can
don't
answer.
think we need to drag this out.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the Keon's change of DBA to Holloway's for, as presented.
The motion, is there a second? Second. Discussion?
Have they opened yet?
Yes.
Yes, and it's beautiful. It is like, seriously, you wouldn't even recognize it.
Gave me the tour on
Well, I guess the
Saturday.
question is, though, this doesn't have any effect on them being open, and it's just a doing
It's a
business.
name-
as.
it's a name change.
Their liquor license was approved with the change of.
Yeah, I remember, there was like a 6-month thing using Keon's, I do remember that section of it, yeah. Sort of knew that it was going to be.
At the time, when they did submit that, they weren't gonna change the name, and then, since then, they have decided they were gonna change the name. So that's where this came from.
Any other questions, comments?
This has no, if I may, this has no effect on the license, this is just doing business as part of the license.
It just changes the name on the license. It'll go to ABCC and they'll issue one, and we'll have to issue a new license with the new name on it.
Oh, okay.
But their current license is still active.
Is in order.
This will prevent them from all the other government agencies saying, this doesn't match.
The corporation is still the same, they're not changing the name of the
Yeah, it's still
license
Ribos.
is under, you know,
The holding company.
Keon's, LLC, or I think whatever it says on the
Ribos.
license. But it's just the DBA, doing business as, that's changing.
Right, okay.
So it's still the same, corporation name, and I forget how they word it on the license, there's still that same
Okay.
company. The name of the license isn't changing, it's just the DBA that's changing. So I guess the license, because that license is actually Ribos Bistro 2 Incorporated.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Hey,
We have approval of poll workers for the May 12th annual town election. Presented by our town clerk.
So moved as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the poll workers as presented. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for you poll workers
Yes,
helping
thank
out.
you for volunteers. All right, we have some appointments and approvals, right, that to go through. I'll entertain motions.
Mr. Chair, I move that we reappoint John Metivier, Building Inspector, Glenn Closey, Alternate Building Inspector, Mark Unger, Inspector of Wires, Robert Brown, Alternate Inspector of Wires, William Gianacci Anacopoulos. I don't know if I got that right.
got it right.
Plumbing
Yeah, that's
Inspector,
good.
Stan Kulatz, Alternate Plumbing Inspector, with terms to expire March 31st, 2015.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. Just because I have an open permit, I think. I have to get one final inspection done, so,
Okay.
Okay.
I think. So, doesn't matter, passes.
Do we have minutes to be approved? Let me see those.
Yep. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes from 11/18/2013 for the executive session.
No, just regular session.
Just the regular session. Rather the 7
They're all
PM
regular session.
general.
General,
You've got,
yeah.
Is it,
you've got them both on the front page.
which one
Be
am I
an executive,
both of them?
11/18.
That was just listed on the meeting that it was happening, that's not the minutes of.
Oh, I see.
If you look at the agenda,
This is
Okay.
November 18th.
that's just the general meeting minutes,
Okay.
it just, I
Alright, since
listed
no
that
one's
there was
seconding
one
my
held.
motion, I'll try it again. Chair, I move that we approve the BOS minutes for November 18th, 2013.
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion?
Yes,
Go ahead.
page 6. And we're doing about Townsend. And it's got down here, Mr. Surface stated that he would like to meet back here in March on this. I forget why, but I
Which one was
think
it?
we,
This doesn't
this was on,
follow.
on the, big tank going in the ground over there at Townsend.
Yeah,
And, you know, we wanted to know how
Yeah,
everything
we
went,
wanna
and
know how
so
it's
I
going.
think that we need to get him back here.
okay.
They just started constructing it.
Oh, so they're behind on construction?
I guess it's just, let's not forget.
Well, some of it, if you remember, was the neighbors and how they
Right.
were doing with idling trucks at 5 o'clock in the
Right.
morning, or 7 o'clock versus 5, and that type of thing. so.
Right.
Then the other one I had is around on page 9, and that was that thing we voted on with Coleman and the planning board. Just while we're going over the minutes, where are we on that? I mean, we had talked about perhaps revisiting that also if we,
Well, both sides have filed their appearances with the court, and the, Tolman's attorney asked for everything to be dismissed, and we're waiting on that,
and so we're spending money on it,
yes.
okay? Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain? Okay. Keep going.
Yeah, this is just for the regular session for December 2nd, right? Not the Friday board
Right.
meeting. Okay, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the Board of Selectmen minutes for December 2nd, 2013.
Second.
Motion second, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I move that we approve the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes for March 24th, 2014.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All those, I'm sorry, any discussion?
On page 7, I just didn't know, we were having discussion that we just had again with Peter on that Elm Street thing, and we didn't take a vote or anything, and if we should just state that, you know, we held off waiting for Peter to come back to us with some more stuff, but I guess he was supposed to come back tonight and he hasn't, so I guess I won't worry about it. We're gonna revisit it at
Yeah,
another
that's
date,
fine.
correct?
That's
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And I move that we approve the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes for March 27th, 2014.
Second.
Okay, motion is second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
March 10th in there too?
No, actually, I was gonna ask you that.
Okay, maybe I,
We'll catch it next time.
okay, yep.
Okay. Thank you, Bill, for getting through that. Warrant to be signed for anybody who hasn't signed. Mike, do you want, anything on the FY15 budget update?
Well, I think I've been updating you as we go with emails. The Finance Committee did approve a bottom line budget on Wednesday night, but on Thursday morning, I got a call, an email or a letter from Essex Agricultural that our assessment went up $38,000 from last year. Some of the reasoning is the same we got for Whittier, that the state changed the funding formula. So we're gonna be paying $101,000 instead of $62,000. The same amount of students.
How many students is that?
Five.
Five, right?
20 grand apiece, including transportation.
So there's not really any options, right?
No, and this used to be, no, and it used to be a cherry sheet item, but they moved it off the cherry sheet. And it's supposed to be in the school budget, but it's in the town, it's in the whole budget.
Why is it not in the school budget?
I don't know. Whittier isn't in there either.
I know,
It's
I don't get it.
real hard to follow that school budget. Yeah, if you look at the general budgets, the town's gone up a lot more than the school budget. And we all know that's
Not the
not
case.
quite so.
Correct. Well, that's why I'm asking, it should be in
The
the
way
school
money
budget.
is-
and-
I
and-
think one of the big things might have been the energy came out. I don't know if that was a big mover in some of it, but,
Well, no, yeah, that was, I mean, we probably picked up an extra $300,000 in doing that. Energy costs,
So,
but,
I think it's because the debt exclusion also isn't really included in their budget, but that's part of the,
Well, you're gonna have to fund it 100 cents on the dollar anyway, so. It probably was taken out so that you can so it's a true, just
we,
kind of
we
breaks
count
out
it
so-
as net school spending.
Right,
I mean, we,
separate line item.
we exceed
more attention.
our net school spending by substantial amount.
Like a factor of two almost, right?
Yeah, I haven't
Or the per
calculated it
per
this
pupil,
year,
I
but
mean,
it's gone, well, it went up $138,000 just in assessments.
second from the lowest to,
I should clarify, if I meant Whittier is like twice as much as we spend on our town pupils, right?
oh, yeah, it was like 9,000, 10,000 a student, and Whittier's
Yeah,
twice that, yeah.
yeah, they're, the tech schools are much more expensive.
Is there, I'll ask the question, is there any benefit to having that in the school budget versus not, to having those?
Just transparency, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we would be, having the discussion about, adequate net school spending. Now we don't have that discussion anymore.
Because we've removed those two items.
Because, yeah, it's not in the school budget. The town is supporting the schools in those areas. And we also pay all the health insurance and workers' comp and you name it.
Don't other towns do the same thing?
Yes, they do.
And is it a positive for net school spending in the sense of from the, whatever, NESAC or whoever, NEASC, whatever? Is that what you're talking
It's
about?
positive for the state,
For the
because
state.
they have minimum standards that they have to meet, or otherwise they'll, I'm not sure what the penalty is, but.
They drop your funding.
Yeah,
They drop your school funding.
yeah, they cut the chapter.
So if it's in,
70.
if it's in the school budget, it's not considered net school spending?
That's right.
Why, how does that work?
Well, net school spending is outside of their budget.
Okay.
They anticipate that,
So, here's your school budget, and we want you to spend this much, so then that's the net. Fixes in, huh?
yeah, and the state board of education change, or the legislature changes the funding formula, and
Right in the middle of it?
we find out about it when we get the bill.
Yeah.
Can we tell them no, cut your budget? Probably not. Okay.
Oh, they just said, well, keep your kids, don't
Right.
send them here.
Right, right. And we want to make sure it's available, so.
Of course.
So how are we gonna balance that piece off?
I don't know. It's, we've been trying to, I sat down with, finance, you know, Mary and Jackie and Jay, and we did find we were able to come up with an additional $76,000 in local revenue, that we feel the DOR we can justify to the DOR. The excise tax for automobiles is, it's probably gonna be up $100,000 this year. We pulled an additional 50 anyway in the budget.
So you'll balance it off?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then another, 26,000 in, I mentioned the investment income doubled. We're literally up to $12,000 now, or 16,000. So we
So,
added.
so that's gonna be all added in, and you're gonna go back to
It is,
FinCom?
it was added in last Wednesday, and so now we're out of balance again.
All right, that's what I was gonna say. How are you gonna balance that off? You don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
Okay.
You know, if we ever got the legislature to tell us how much revenue we're gonna get, it could be a moot point if they would just let us know, but we probably won't know until June.
Yeah, till after town meeting.
After the meeting?
Yeah, so we'll just have to, go with what we know and then try to fix it in the fall.
So we're gonna go to town meeting with an unbalanced budget?
No, I'm not recommending that. We're gonna have to make some cuts.
Right.
And try to restore them in fall.
Oh.
Okay.
You know, the finance committee really wanted to make sure everybody got the positions that they were asking for, but there's an extra highway department person, an extra half person for finance, and the $75,000 IT director.
Is that half finance person about the school, the additional invoices for the school, or no? Is that separate?
It's included in there.
Didn't they also ask for 3 other new people in schools?
There were additional positions,
Yeah.
I
Did they
think,
get those also?
yeah.
So we have a new IT director that's going into this new budget for the school?
It's in there now, yes.
Then why are we spending money on a study?
So, well, yeah, well, I mean, I don't get that, and
So
There's-
they will have
we're gonna do another override for the school?
a
For 3 more
roadmap
bodies?
for the person, so the person knows what, can be effective when they get hired. And they can know what they need to hire for.
So basically, it's a researching of a job description. That's what you're telling me.
No, it's
Not a
about,
job
like,
description,
It's an execution plan.
yeah.
yeah, it's like what they need.
It's an assessment and a plan of what the recommendations are, and then that person will take that and be way ahead of the game. Because I don't know what this person's being paid, but that's a half a year project for an individual.
What, Carol was saying that with an IT person, that person might be an IT person for the town?
Well, an IT department should be townwide, and that's one of the easier ones. I know we've been trying to do maintenance.
As far as sharing and maintenance, yeah.
But IT is even easier. And
It can't be done under the same contract that we have for the town sign?
Well, the finance committee did recommend, we got that one proposal, and the finance committee wants to get 2 more. And that, we don't really have to bid it, because the proposee is on the state bid. We didn't bid ours, because Boston System Solutions is also a state bid list.
Mm-hmm.
So finance committee asked me to get, proposals from 2 other state bid listed vendors.
So what are the 3 other positions that the school is
I'm not sure.
considering?
I couldn't tell you right now.
Well, we're just gonna have to find that $45,000 somewhere. That's between now and town meeting, right? Unless we hear another
38.
windfall somewhere, so.
Okay, it could be a delayed hiring, right?
Well, it's a structural issue, though.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you only budget half of it though, if you're gonna hire them halfway through the year.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be hiring them till, what, September? Or with IT and all those?
We don't
they-
even know what they're budgeted for.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, this was already discussed at FinCom meeting,
Yeah,
so
this
we're just rehashing. This was
You
already
guys are making
discussed.
me live through it twice.
Right.
Yeah, no, I know, I was
So I'll hold my
watching.
thoughts on the 25,000, so. So I wasn't there, so it was discussed by people that know more than I.
All right, if we're good there, interest of time, we'll keep moving. So, the question is, to the board, do we want to take time, we still have an executive session that we'll be doing after this, and vote on the warrant articles? If we don't do it tonight, our next meeting is the 28th.
We need one before then.
And so the option would be one before then.
And we need to know tonight if any articles are coming off, so that we can get posted for Thursday. Votes, we could always get later, but just, let's stay.
As far as
I
votes.
thought what we typically do is just, we pass them over.
Yeah, we could
Could pass over.
leave everything as is and pass over.
Yeah, that's
Probably
true.
the
Probably
If
the
you
best.
want.
best thing in lieu of the time involved.
Are you guys around next Monday, Patriots Day? What about Tuesday or Wednesday next week?
I'm out.
School
I'm on
vacation next
School
week.
vacation.
Well, are there any,
I am
if I may, Mr. Chair, like on the special town warrant meeting, the one we got, Article 2, is this for school employees?
Which one,
Which one, Gary?
Special town
Special
meeting,
town meeting.
Article 2, Reserve Fund, secured liabilities.
Yes.
You know, this is, they just,
Gift that keeps on giving.
Well, yeah, I mean, they don't appear to plan ahead, and they come back to the town with these things. I mean, at least you did see it and plan ahead. We put it in there last year.
Well,
but-
they had it in their operating budget.
Okay,
And the finance committee decided because it was a one-time expenditure, that it was appropriate to use free cash for. So
so
we're
if they,
taking $57,000 and $26,000 and putting it
Okay.
in the accrued liability
yeah, okay.
fund from free cash.
I do remember now, yes, they did have it in there, and so the finance committee is the ones who moved it, and they figured that way they could
And that,
keep their budget down and give them the
and
new
that made
employee.
room, that made room for the IT director, basically.
Okay,
Because it was a half, Carol had a half a person in there for 37.5,
yeah, I remember.
and then, but she wanted 75, so they split the difference with the 56,000 for the retirement.
What about Thursday night this week?
I'm not here.
No good for me.
I mean, are there any that you're close to, gentlemen, that, I mean, I've seen most, I've been to planning board and finance, so I'm
Yeah,
familiar with them.
Well, you guys know which one I want, but
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, it's on there,
Well,
and
it's on there. I
finance,
mean,
and
it's just
finance
people-
voted in favor of it, so.
Run through quick and do your vote.
I mean, you know, in the past, the selectmen, I don't think did this. We've been doing it. I don't know that it's a bad idea, but, you know, that is the idea of the finance and the advisory. They were the ones who typically advised. I thought our job was more, put it on the warrant.
Because I had asked that before too, Gary, but I didn't think there was a voting thing too, but then we had been doing it for a while, so. Because basically, at the town meeting, we stand up, and FinCom stands up and says, we support it or don't support it, or whatever the vote was, right?
Just goes out ahead of time to voters, so if anyone picks up a warrant ahead of time, they get to see
They get
how.
to see it.
They get to see ahead of time whether FinCom is in favor and the selectmen are in favor. So it's not, it was just more, I think, added on.
I mean,
Right.
yeah, there's a lot that several that I'm not in favor of on here, but people are gonna know it at the town meeting when I go, no. I mean,
Right. I mean, it doesn't
I
have to
mean,
be, it was
we're
just
voting now
at one
and-
point, selectmen wanted it on here, they wanted their votes on, in the book, you know, with the FinCom
I mean, I don't
votes. But you
think
don't
that-
have to, it's only, like you said, it's up to you. It was more just any articles you wanted to remove.
I mean, the new ones might, I mean, with that one got, yeah, they both got explained to us.
So we could just vote to, we could have this posted as is.
Mhm.
And then as we usually do in our meetings prior to town meeting, is go through these. And any particular ones that any of us are interested, we can vote no if there's anything.
But that keeps
It was
them on
just to
there,
get it
right?
in the book, yeah, it was just to get it in
Get
the
them-
FinCom book.
Right, so the
Because
question is,
it's-
does anyone
your
feel strongly
meeting-
about getting our vote on these articles into the FinCom book?
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Just getting tight, that would mean we
yeah, I don't.
put it together till the 9th.
Because I don't think any of us are very shy at town meeting about
Right.
expressing our opinion. And, you know, I think what we just, I mean, some
No, I
of this
don't
is we're
think
put, they're on there because we want people a chance to vote. It doesn't
Do
mean
you
that
want
it's 5-0 that we think it's the right thing
I'll
to do.
file it.
And I think we're good at, we can express that at town meeting.
Yep. I agree. Fine with me.
Hey,
So
let's-
you could take your votes on the 28th
Right.
and just do it and announce it at.
Right, that was the
Sure.
other thing I was
That's
thinking.
what I
So,
would suggest.
well, and actually, it sounds like, so 28th,
Well,
Dave
I
and I
think
won't
two of
be
you
here.
weren't gonna do that, yeah. So we wouldn't wanna do it that wouldn't be.
Yeah, and I'm traveling back at night, so I'm in flight when.
Well, there's only gonna be 3 of you anyway.
Then you could do it right before town meeting then.
We meet before town meeting,
You'd have to meet early,
An
though.
hour before town meeting.
That's, you'd have to meet a little earlier than that, because to buzz through all those in an hour, you think?
At that
What time we
point,
usually get together, 6?
6.
So maybe if we started at
5?
5:15, 5? Yeah, 5 o'clock maybe? Yeah.
Bring pizza.
Yeah.
Pizza, I want lobster this time.
Not this year.
It's not a lobster yet.
Not this year, yeah.
I got McDonald's.
I have a feeling next year will be worse.
Dude, you'll be having gruel.
I'll, if you guys put the effort in, I'll bring the pizza, how's that sound?
Yeah, it's a difference
That's the
between us.
chairman's.
I want lobster pizza then.
I'm fine with imitation crab meat, you know.
Okay, all right then, so we're not gonna vote now. I just turned that over. That means it's done. So just a reminder then for everybody that, town meeting is May 5th, 2014, at 7 o'clock at the Georgetown Middle High School, and that's a, Monday. So Monday, May 5th, 2014, at 7 o'clock is the town meeting and also the special town meeting.
Are we gonna meet the 28th then?
Well, as we get closer, we'll see what the business is at the time.
Yeah, that's fine.
See if it makes sense, you know, if there's some basic things that need approvals, whatever. If not, we can just plan to meet on the
Makes sense.
evening of the,
Mr. Greenberg may wanna come in. Fishing game, I don't know.
okay. So, thank you, everybody. Next meeting is potentially April 28th, at 7 PM. If not, it'll be the night of town meeting, which is May 5th, Monday, May 5th, and we will meet earlier in town meetings at 7 PM. Okay, I do roll call vote to move to executive session.
Yes.
All those in
You
For the
s-
purposes
No, you
of-
state the reason.
Oh, okay, I got it. We're moving, take a roll call vote to move to executive session, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation, if an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position of the government body and the chair so declares, which I do.
And you do not plan on returning back to public session.
Thank you. He just should have the strings in the mouth going here. And we do not plan on returning back to public session. Thank you, Mike, as usual.
So moved.
No,
Roll call vote.
Oh, roll call
To
vote.
move to executive session. Paula?
Are we meeting on the second floor again?
yes.
Yeah,
we should
usually.
move
Yes.
down.
The surface, yes.
Hagenberg, yes.
Smith, yes.
Trapani, yes.
Great, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
All right.